My name is Cucumber Feet, and join me on this cautionary tale of the dangers of autism.
If you're a young gentleman, I recommend buying yourself a My Little Pony figure of your favorite color or whatever. And also rubbing it against your cheek.
Mental illness.
Back the off! You do not want to get on my bad side again!
Homophobia.
Don't trust any homos over there.
Being transgender.
Once again, and today we are doing our Captain's Log.
Incestuous relationships. And being given unrestricted access to the internet.
Die. Die in hell.
I mean, at the end of the video, you might just be asking yourself, as Emperor Xi Jinping, our Lord and Savior, do we deserve unrestricted access to the internet? Should we be free to exist online at all? Reproduce at will? Should we divide and conquer Africa, not by the means of funding some puppeteer insurgent war, which is really just a proxy for us to go to battle with some other foreign oppressive entity, but by selling them on the promise of industrial revolution, by building them infrastructure to bring them into the new age, but in fact we are locking them in a prison of high interest debt that will not be able to be paid back, that we will retake by taking their land and resources. Roll the intro.
Yeah, they're arresting Chrischan here at the hotel. Chrischan, what's up?
A YouTube personality called Chrischan has just been arrested.
Why they've heard of Chrischan is that this is the most documented person, the most documented woman on the planet.
Hey, Lauren here. Let's talk about Chrischan.
Inside you, your goddess blue heart, and I continue to stand strong, and I maintain everything with goodwill in my psychic snowshoes and everybody.
Watch Sonic the Hedgehog? A cartoon.
It's a toaster!
Before we dive too deeply into this story, there's probably a couple little disclaimers I should mention. Disclaimer number one. At some point in Christine's life, she does become a woman. She is transgender. But for the majority of her life, she was Christopher or Christian Weston Chandler. So I am going to be referring to her as a him for the parts of her life where she was a him. I don't know how to handle these things. You guys figure it out. Number two, Chris was born with autism and clearly has a lot of psychological issues, undiagnosed psychological issues. In light of that, mixed with the heavy amounts of internet trolling, you're gonna find yourself feeling bad for this individual. And listen, I get it. You're gonna find yourself flip-flopping numerous times throughout the entire thing. I did myself. You don't know whether you should be laughing at him or her or, feeling empathetic. But, you got to remind yourself that it might appear that Chris doesn't seem to, he's dumb. He just comes off as really, really stupid. As he has a low IQ. Sure, I get it. And you feel bad for him. He's not all there. Cool. But he's also extremely narcissistic, delusional, psychotic, and tirelessly unaware of his perception and his, the wakes that he makes in the world. He doesn't care about the effects he has on other people. He doesn't care about anybody's personal property. He doesn't care about anything other than himself. And if it sounds like I'm being harsh, she is not the hero of this story. Trust me. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, those traits are caused by his mental inadequacies. Perhaps, I'm not a doctor. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about here, but what I do know is that doesn't excuse her to use them as a crutch at every given moment of her life. And as you will come to learn by the end of this thing, it does not excuse her actions. Chrischan is a weird, beautiful, brilliant disaster. Many would claim that she was the most trolled person in the history of the internet. Certainly, as you'll come to find, one of the most storied people. Is that the right word? The amount of information that exists on this individual is mind-boggling. Jesus, Christine, Weston, Chandler, Sonichu, formerly Christine Weston Chandler, formerly Christian Weston Chandler, formerly Christopher Weston Chandler, was born in Charlottesville, Virginia on February the 24th, 1982, to Barbara Chandler and Robert Franklin Chandler Jr. As a child, Chris was diagnosed as a high-functioning autistic. He didn't speak until the age of 7, which is, as I came to learn, a key indicator of autism in a child. And he only began really using dialogue as a form of effective communication by the age of 12. This did delay his ability to read as well, which he did eventually pick up through subtitles on television. I learned all this from what would later be called the Autism Papers, leaked medical documents that I managed to find online. How, pray tell, did I find his medical records? Well, as I mentioned in the intro, along with being the most trolled person in the history of the internet, he was also one of the most well documented. This is thanks to one of the many Chrisisms, whatever you want to call them, little sayings and creeds and mottos that Chris would live by. And there was one in particular that Chris called honest content. Chris believed that the key to being honest was giving away an excessive amount of information about yourself, whether anyone asked or not. If you're curious about Chris and want to do some reading, if you're into that sort of thing, I mean, this is YouTube, so I assume most of you aren't big fans. There is a website called Shoutout.com, which I source a lot of information from. It's crazy the amount of detail that exists on this individual. I'll read a quote straight from there about what honest content is. Quote, Chris believes that in order to be honest, you must give away excessive amounts of personal information about yourself. Therefore, honest content refers to Chris's tendency to tell random strangers about very personal and private details about his life against his better judgment, usually to no benefit of himself and to the benefit of his trolls, end quote. Chris has 3 half-siblings, Dr. Carol Suzanne Chandler, Dr. David Allen Chandler, or David, and Cole Smythe, all of who are about 20 years older than him. Chris's mom and dad were 41 and 55 respectively when they gave birth to him, which could very well factor into the reason why he has autism to begin with. Autism, according to my very extensive research into the medical profession and child brains, from what I managed to read, autism seems to be more prevalent in late age pregnancies. Barbara, or Barb as the kids call her, well actually they called her Snorlax because she was fat and narcoleptic. Snorlax is also speculated to have a lot of narcissistic and kind of mentally ill disorders of her own, which, you know, that plays into the whole nurture versus nature thing. Yes, Chris was not born with the best hand of cards, but his mom took the good ones. Oh God, I'm making him sound like a hero. He is not a hero! But if you ask Chris, he has another theory on the matter. He recounts a horribly traumatic tale of his alcoholic parents leaving him with an abusive babysitter named Roach. Like the bug. She allegedly locked him in a room for being annoying, fair, which he blames that trauma as the cause of his autism, which is not how autism works. From ages 2 to 10, Chris had a next-door playmate, Sarah Nicole Hammer, which sounds like a porn star. In retrospect, that seems kind of weird to say about a child. Chris has gone on record to say that Sarah was his best friend, even though there is a mountain of evidence that proves that the relationship was completely one-sided. Chris claimed that when they were children, Sarah had convinced him that Casper the Friendly Ghost lived in a crawl space under her house. When Chris went to go investigate, she locked him inside, which I guess would be the first recorded troll of Chris. In the 1990 to 91 school year at Nathaniel Green Elementary School. God, even his school was autistic. Screw it. In the 4th grade, Chris got himself into a bit of an incident. He had caused some kind of chaos, and according to him, he was forcibly restrained and mandated to sit on the lap of the principal, allegedly. His parents ended up having to get involved, and they ended up going to court with the school. The court would recommend that Chris be transferred to a special education facility, not Nathaniel. Essentially a school better equipped to deal with Chris's condition. His parents, who were alcoholics at the time, didn't really understand this. They thought they basically thought the courts were calling their kid mentally challenged, which, I mean, fair enough, but it's like they were just trying to get the kid the proper help that he needed to, maybe be a successful part of society when he's older. So Chris would be pulled from the public schooling system altogether and then homeschooled by 2 alcoholic maniacs. Great. I mean, who better to teach a highly autistic child about the world than 2 alcoholic parents that know nothing about anything. I mean, granted, how hard is it to teach the 4th grade? I'm sure I can do it, though I do hate children. This was until Chris's papa managed to find a job a couple towns over in Richmond, Virginia, in a different school district, allowing them to place their son back into public school. All of this is just to illustrate how poorly mismanaged his childhood really was. Oh yeah, also, Chris would blame that little knee-sitting incident with the principal that allegedly happened on his rampant homophobia, which will come up a few times in the very near future. In 1992, while attending the Leonard Bernstein Symphony Orchestra, an orchestra of nightmare animatronics at his local mall, the Regency Square, the conductor was doing like crowd work or something and mistakenly heard Chris's name as Christian, as Chris would take as a sign from God. By the way, him and his family are super religious, that he should rename himself to Christian legally. So he forced his parents to legally change his name when he was, I don't know, like 9 or something like that. This would be the first of a couple legal name changes and the first of a few unofficial ones too, completely enabling him and just fueling his psychoses, which would haunt him for the rest of his life. Chris entered and actually won a competition at the age of 11, the Sonic the Hedgehog Watch and Win Sweepstakes.
The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, the cool new TV show, is on the air. And check this out, it's the KB Toy Store's Watch and Win Sweepstakes.
The prize, you ask? $1,000 shopping spree. I don't know why I said that like that. That was really whack. But Chris would be interviewed by the news, the local news team, for this.
Finally tonight, Sonic the Hedgehog is running wildly in the Chandler household this weekend. 12-year-old Christian Chandler of Charlottesville was the winner in a video game shopping spree. Christian is one of only about 100 winners nationally to receive $1,000 worth of Sega games and equipment. For his parents, it's just another example of how well he's doing. Christian is a high-functioning autistic child. This past fall, on his own initiative, he entered a contest based on a favorite cartoon character.
What I had to do was exactly watch Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon and listen to what Sonic says at the end of it and write it down for a whole week. And then I had to mail it in, and I had to be drawn out of a hat, and I just won.
Basically, the story being framed as, look at this little autistic boy who managed to enter a contest by himself and win. Look, he's trying to be like one of us, even though he's not and never will be. Please feel bad for him. Ugh, the news is so gross. Mailing a letter at age 11 is not an accomplishment, even if you got the Audi. Unfortunately, whether it's consciously or not, Chris would pick up on this and now learn to leverage his Audi to try and get things that he wants or get sympathy out of people. Also, this would begin a streak of him entering every single contest he would ever encounter and full on expecting to win. I'm not saying hopeful to win, expecting to win, and when he doesn't, go into freaking hormone rages. Chris's high school career would go about just as expected. He would spend most of his social time hanging out with his gal pals. Another one-sided relationship where he considered them to be his best friends, which later in life he would come to learn that they had only tolerated him because they felt bad for him. And instead of ever accepting that fact or not accepting it and moving on and trying to build actual relationships with people and figuring out how to build some kind of real social bonds.
Everyone, put your hands together, and I'll mark us with a special sign. It's a symbol of our friendship.
He decided to abuse their kindness and their tenderness, and when they lost patience, they would sever all ties with him. And when Chris figured this all out late into adulthood, and by figure out, I mean, he had to be forcefully and blatantly told and explained this by his ex-gal pals. And again, instead of trying to reflect on maybe what parts he could have played in all of this, he just turned them into his enemies. There is going to be a lot of enemies in this story. Think what you want about Chris, but honestly, I wish I had more feuds and enemies like Chris did. It seems like such an insane and crazy way to live. I'm kind of down. If you're bored and at home and want to get into a completely toxic war with a struggling YouTuber on the internet over social media for all to see, please leave your @ in the comment section below and I will destroy both of our lives. Also, during high school, Chris would start to flex his artistic muscles, not autistic. He would create, I use that word very loosely, but create a very pivotal figure in his life, if that's what you want to call it, Shoutout. Okay, so Shoutout was a character he created for a school project in, I don't know, art class or something, who knows, who cares, where he was explicitly told that he was not allowed to use copyrighted material. So his workaround for that was to merge 2 copyrighted characters together, because that's how copyright infringement works. So he would take his favorite 2 characters from his favorite 2 video game franchises, Sonic and Pikachu, and then merge them together into this amalgamation of ass, this chimera of crap, this shit of shit. Surprisingly, Chris actually graduated high school, and this is where he would acquire the amethyst ring and also lie about making honor roll. The only roll Chris ever made was dinner roll, because he's chubby. Sorry, that was a low-hanging fruit, which clearly he couldn't grab, or else he wouldn't be so fat. During his graduation ceremony, Chris would throw a complete temper tantrum because his Shoutout art, despite his autism, didn't win any awards. You see, this is what I mean by Chris has a hard time grasping the concept that his autism isn't just going to carry him through life. Yes, you can point the finger and say it's the fault of the parents for not explicitly explaining to him that, you know, his autism isn't some transphobic magic spell.
You're a Harry.
I'm a what?
Chris would try his hand at college. Piedmont, Virginia Community College, to be more specific. At this point in his life, he had completely lost touch with his gal pals. Well, lost touch. I mean, they severed all ties with him. And he found himself pretty lonely in college. Oh, I feel so bad for him. He's so lonely in college. You just wait, just chill. In 2003, Chris found out his old childhood friend Sarah Nicole Hammer started doing porn. I'm just kidding. He found out that she now had a boyfriend, Wes Izzelli. Of course, Wes would become one of Chris's enemies, but this would prompt Chris to begin his love quest. What is that, you might ask? Well, I think I might be talking too loudly. Is that loud enough? I thought the spin thing would be a good idea, but I realized my headphones wouldn't reach, and then there's no way for me to hear myself. His love quest was essentially his search to find a girlfriend, or as he dubbed it, a sweetheart. Unfortunately for Chris, he unknowingly creeped the ever-living shit out of women. So due to his inability to pick up on social cues, justifiably, the women would give him a list of excuses. A lot of them tended to be the exact same one. Oh, I'm sorry, I already have a boyfriend. Never heard that myself. Chris would begin noticing the pattern that these women would just be telling him the same excuse time after time. He did some calculation. He crunched the numbers. And he deduced that, of course, it couldn't just be him and the fact that he was creeping the hell out of them being the common denominator in this fraction, but he had figured out that there must be what he dubbed an infinitely high boyfriend factor, or the IHBF. Yes, you heard that right. By his calculations, there are just too many boyfriends out there. The IFBFF would not deter Chris from his love quest, no. It would only force him to change up his tactics. His most successful tactic, or at least in his mind, was to just make this childlike sign and just sit on campus and wait for girls to approach him. The sign would read, 21 and single, white male, shy, smart, young at heart, computer skilled, humorous, a great thinker and go-getter. Quote, natural salesperson. I didn't put that in quotations, he did. Enjoys good parts of life, diplomatic, friendly, loves his family, peaceful, very creative. He's lonely, seeking a cute 18 to 21 single female companion. He put it in caps, not me. 18 to 21 years of age, does not already have a boyfriend. Fair enough. Single, average to slender weight / body type, white, lives in Charlottesville or Ruckersville area. That didn't age well.
One people, one nation, and immigration.
Does not smoke or drink alcohol. Happy, positive, personality, average / high income. I'm gonna jump ahead here for a second. He's never had a job in his life. Drives a vehicle. If any men read this huge sign, mind your own business. And to all men with girlfriends, except marrieds and blacks, go jump off a cliff. Have a nice day. See, this is what I'm saying. You feel bad for him, but then when he fails awkwardly at accosting women, he writes this sign that starts off all nice and cute and then ends mildly racist. If we could just rewind a second, if you're thinking that when he said, and to all men with girlfriends except marrieds and blacks, go jump off a cliff, trust me, I know Chris, he's not saying all men that have girlfriends or are black do not have to jump off a cliff. He's saying all men with girlfriends, except the ones who are married, also black people, can jump off a cliff. And listen, maybe you could blame it on the combo of the terrible parenting and the autism, but if you don't find this funny, then f you. And as you might imagine, this little sign didn't accomplish anything. It did nothing to advance his goals. And after several complaints, particularly from black students, because when they would approach him, he would just yell racial epithets at them, the dean had to get involved. And this is where Dean Mary Lee Walsh comes in. She kicked him off campus for loitering and sexually soliciting himself. Like, I could do a whole half an hour on Chris versus MLW, but I'm gonna keep it concise because we still have a lot to cover. There's a lot of debate over the MLW feud between her and Chris. Chris would argue that she is a literal witch, and literally everybody else in existence would argue the exact opposite. For instance, prior to getting expelled from campus, MLW had nicely asked Chris on multiple occasions to stop walking around with his dumb sign, which he completely ignored. This led them to having a sit-down conversation where Chris would partially admit to verbally assaulting her, and in a fit of rage, he would even use the dreaded Kamehameha. Kamehameha. You're curious, right? I'll read the description from Shoutout.com. The Kamehameha, also referred to as the Shinyehameha, is the special finishing move of doom used by Chris when battling his unfortunate adversaries, be they jerk tops, mana jerks, trolls, or Mary Lee Walsh. Jerk tops, it's more criticisms, it's just people he doesn't like. Mana jerks are just managers he gets into battle with. It's performed exactly the same way as the famed Kamehameha maneuver used in the anime series Dragon Ball and its sequels, by doing silly choreography poses and slowly yelling the name of the famous Hawaiian king. To get back at MLW, Chris would famously record a video of him playing Soul Calibur 3, where he'd go into the create a character and create a character not only for himself, but also for Mary Lee Walsh, and then stab her to death.
Pirate. Now two souls are fiercely entangled.
Want to see my true strength?
Let's see if you're ready for this.
Sage wins.
See that?
Well, he struggled to stab her to death on the easiest difficulty. The cops ended up having to get involved, and it just became a whole thing. Granted, it was a one-sided feud. Now that I'm thinking about it, they pretty much all are. In 2005, Chris would start frequenting his local frequenting. In 2005, Chris would start frequenting. Still doesn't sound right. His local game shop called The Game Place. And it's here he would meet Megan Schroeder. Megan was a bit of an outcast, not unlike Chris, and they legitimately grew a real bond, a legitimate friendship. I mean, Megan was probably the closest thing Chris ever had to a real, actual friend that wasn't there just to fuck with him or out of sympathy. Things were finally starting to look up for Chris, not unlike his favorite video game series. I mean, he was really starting to evolve into an adult with a social life and, you know, something real and meaningful. I already regret this. 2007 was a marquee year for Chris, a year that would see his life change forever. Maybe not for the better, but definitely forever. For now, why don't we just keep that date in mind and rewind time just a little bit into the long, long ago. Remember Sonichu? Well, Chris turned his, unbeknownst to him, copyright infringing character into a full-fledged comic book, or at least his version of what he thought that would be, which is just a meandering, incoherent plot paired with the scribblings of a 6-year-old. I'm not joking. The very narrative structural foundation of this plot needed some kind of archaeologist to try and like deconstruct this thing. You know, that joke actually, I'm not sure if that made sense. It worked on paper. I'm not sure if that works out loud. It was like, I don't know, the fractured but holes diagram of like the Disney Marvel franchise, or just the Disney Marvel franchise.
This franchise plan sucks! Yeah, and I think Timmy was right. We should start the whole thing with the Tupperware movie. Right, start with a black superhero. Marvel made a black superhero movie. Yeah, now! They waited years to get to that! We follow their plan. We do all the real people first, and we sneak the black guy in phase 3.
So each comic is numbered, except for the first one, which is number 0 and not number 1. God, I'm using comic very, very lightly, by the way. Each issue is broken into an episode, sub-episode system, barring, of course, any one-off stories that also would exist within inside of an issue. For example, this means that episode 11 of Sonichu takes place in issue number 3, which is the 4th issue to be released. There are also seven specials, which truthfully aren't very special. And if you're into BDSM like I am, you could check out the link I left in the description, maybe up there, I don't know how YouTube works, where you can read digital versions of all these comics for yourself. First edition, Sonichu issue 0, was released on March 24th, 2005. The comics start off, you know, innocently enough, just following the adventures of a character that is very clearly copyright infringing, so maybe not so innocently, but, you know, I don't know, maybe halfway through the very first issue, you realize that it just becomes a vehicle that encapsulates just how narcissistic, self-centered, oblivious, unaware, shallow-minded, and naive Chris really was. All of his varying feuds and associates or friends, whatever you want to call them, would find their way in to Chris's work. Like any good artist, you're really just writing about yourself, am I right? Oh God, I am Chrischan, oh no. Comics would go many years without actually being noticed by anyone, which brings us back to 2007. On May 8th, Chris would create his YouTube channel, or first of very many YouTube channels, Sonichu, which you would start posting right off the bat, just quality content. The first video being that infamous video of him stabbing his dean in Soul Calibur 3, which he also followed up with another masterpiece that I highly recommend checking out. I'm probably going to throw a clip in right about now.
AP Station, my name is Christian Chandler. I live in Bucksville, Virginia. I have a PSP. I like to rap. I play with the rapper. I go with you now. The only song I know is Master Onion, which I got from a demo I borrowed from my friend Megan. I have the PSP and she don't. So give me the PSP. I rap the rapper, so I give one to her. And we can play together. Kick, punch, kick, punch. Turn them toes. Yes, sir. Jump and go. Jump, ho.
It's a video of him entering the Parappa the Rapper, I don't know, Onion contest. I don't remember what it was called. Parappa the Rapper was a PS1 game that came out, I don't know, like half a decade before this contest happened. So I don't even know why this contest was going on in the first place. It was called the Chop Chop Master Onions Rap Showdown. So the contest rules were simple simple enough. Contestants would have to record themselves rapping a song from the video game and then send that in to win the grand prize of 2 PlayStation Portables. I guess it was probably some kind of spin-off game on the PSP. That's probably what they were promoting. And they'd also win a trip for 2 to some video game expo in Seattle.
Rap, rap, rap! That's a rap!
October 26, 2007, a day that would live in infamy. It is the very first day, or at least what I could find, of Chris being trolled online. T-Day, if you will. So somebody Pokemon snapped a pic of Chris just in the wild doing his thing and posted that online to this website, which I believe is now defunct, called somethingawful.com. The website is self-explanatory. I don't think we need to dive into that, but that sparked a thread on 4chan. 4chan being a message board for mentally ill people, essentially. It's really like the bowels of the internet. I guess that maybe that's 8chan or whatever. Who knows? Who cares? And we're just getting too deep into this right now. So the crafty sleuths on 4chan. Oh my God! I just realized the whole Chan and Chan connection. The Chan connection. So the Channers, they noticed in this picture Chris wearing this really, really ridiculous necklace. Well, they thought, wow, that seems odd and bizarre. Why don't we do some digital digging and try and figure this out? So they found out about Chris's comics. Things would start to develop from here as, you know, a lot of new fans of the Sonichu comics would start drawing basically just deviant art of his characters doing very devious things. So not only did these trolls start creating drawings of the Sonichu characters having gay sex with not only Chris himself, but each other, they would also start calling him out for his blatant racism. These glasses are so goddamn foggy, I cannot see a thing. Up until this point, Chris had never experienced anything close to the level of attention and notoriety he had gained over the course of a few short days online. You have to remember, kids, I don't know if you guys were alive back in the old days of the internet like this guy was, but back then, like, the internet was just a completely different place. It was much meaner and much harsher, much less regulated. So with all the backlash, Chris just started going into a complete freaking nerd rage, and the Channers, they ate it up. Chris started lashing out against all his detractors, all the people trying to defame him and to trying to ruin his non-existent reputation. He emailed Evan, one of the more prominent deviant art trolls, and sent him this message, which I'm going to read for you verbatim. Draw Rosachu stripping for Sonichu and have him f*** her. And draw Rosachu masturbating and squirting. I am straight, damn it. I will not be veered in any other disgusting, grotesque direction again. I really wish I could do impersonations better. I am straight, damn it. I am straight, damn it. I am straight, damn it. I will not be veered in any other disgustingly grotesque direction again. I'm so bad at impersonations. Again, most nasty fan arts are not appreciated at all. Please feel free to share that quote with the rest of the fans. Sincerely, Christian. I forgot he changed his name. Weston Chandler. This obviously didn't deter the trolls at all. So they took to Encyclopedia Dramatica, or what I will be calling ED henceforward because it's shorter. And they basically wrote an article detailing Chris's entire life up until that point. If you're unfamiliar with ED, it's a website that doesn't exist anymore, but it's basically Wikipedia with less actual truth. Yes, the whole page on Chris was filled with lies, but was satirical in nature, a concept that Chris was having a lot of trouble understanding at the time, or even probably now for that matter. Correct me if I'm wrong here. I'm not like a war historian or anything, but I don't think anyone's ever beaten the internet. But that did not stop Chris from trying. It's at this point that Chris decided to start trying to edit the ED page to try and paint himself in a better light to, I don't know, I guess anyone that would go on the website who would just be there to troll him anyways. Or at least that's what he thought he was doing. What he ended up actually doing was just giving the trolls like a large dump of embarrassing information about himself, like just completely humiliated him online. Like he just, like, it was as if there's like a fire in his house and he tried to put it out with gasoline.
Oh shit.
For instance, the trolls had posted all those drawings they had made of his characters having gay sex with him on the ED page, so he decided to personally replace all those drawings with straight sex drawings he had drawn himself. Like, that was much better. What a year 2007 was. There's so much I can get into, but why don't we just move on to 2008? Unfortunately for Chris, but I guess mostly Megan, over time, Chris would completely misread the situation and start making sexual advances on her. And in 2008, after a surprising 2 years of sustained harassments from Chris, Megan would begin to drift apart, not only like metaphorically, but literally physically as well. Their mutual associates would basically warn Megan anytime Chris showed up to a public place that she was at too, so she could go and hide and not have to interact with him. She even moved out of state. Now, I'm not 100% sure that's all because of Chris. Granted, the majority of their email exchanges have been leaked online, but there's a lot of them, and I just don't care to read them, so I'm just going to say that she moved away because of Chris. 100% confirmed. Remember to put in a blinky ching animation there, please. Also, figure out how to do that. After moving away 100% because of Chris, Chris would start to profess his love to Megan online through email exchanges, which didn't creep her out at all. Not even a little bit. And this brings us back to that Parappa the Rappa contest.
Don't get cocky. It's got to get lucky. We got to move down to the sea jockey now. Duck. Duck. Yup. Yup. Turn. And pose. Pose.
You see, Chris entered said contest not only to win the PSPs and the trip to Seattle, but also to win back Megan, as he would give her one of the PSPs and take her to Seattle with him. And again, just so we're clear that Chris is not doing something cute and trying to make amends for, realizing he had done something to hurt someone and learned from that and decided to try and fix that because he actually cared about the person. No, it was actually, his plan was to bring her to Seattle so he could lose his virginity to her. Unconfirmed if that was going to be consensual on her part or not. Allegedly, I'm not saying. I mean, granted, his actions later. Yeah. Ironically, this did the exact opposite of work and just ended up grossing out Megan even more. So after losing said contest, he started sending off very angry emails to Sony, because clearly it's this mega corporation's fault that he lost his chance to lose his virginity. Not only was he angry at Sony for not picking him, regardless of talent, but he was also angry at the other contestants, specifically the winner of the contest, for cheating, which is fair. The winner actually did cheat. In the rules, it said that the rap had to be a cappella with no beat. The guy used a beat, but it was good, so they're like, screw it. It's just some dumb little contest for like a PSP game, so they just gave it to him. But Chris did fail to realize that he actually also had cheated by using his own lyrics on top of the lyrics from the game. So, they kind of cancel each other out there. But this started one of his very many long-standing feuds with Adam Stackhouse. But the final nail in the coffin with his one and only true friend Megan came when the trolls actually found her email or whatever and sent her a link to the ED page, which she had clicked on, and then found all his lewd drawings that Chris had drawn to, of course, combat the gay ones. So if you actually look closely at the drawing, actually I'm probably gonna have to blur this out because it might be considered porn. It's Googleable. There's a picture Chris drew of himself fingering a woman while giving the thumbs up, to prove that he's not gay. Unfortunately for Chris, just redacting the eyes on this hand-drawn picture did not prevent Megan from figuring out who it was Chris was fingering in that picture. It was her. Now justifiably fearing for her safety, Megan decided to officially break things off with Chris. So of course, having zero sense of how his actions could impact and affect others, Chris blamed ED and the trolls for all of this.
Just a small update. Well, I just wanted to ask a small favor. You know what would really inspire me to continue doing the comics? I'll tell you what, you take down that ED page forever. Take it down. It and everything about it, including the discussion pages, everything, delete it. This makes me really angry. You know how it makes me angry? And this is how angry I am for every waking moment that ED page is up. You want me to calm down? You want me to calm down? You want me to draw the comics? You take down that ED page. That's Clytus.
So in retaliation, Chris tried to ban the admins, except he didn't actually know what that meant. It's okay, plan B. He tried to hack the website using HTML. He also didn't understand how websites work. In a last-ditch effort, Chris contacts the Wikimedia Foundation support, which they actually reply to by telling him that this is a completely different website and we have no idea what you're talking about. His church ends up finding the ED page, or it gets sent to them, whatever. They end up completely banning him from the church in March of 2008, which is ironic because it's supposed to be a place of, literally a house of forgiveness. He even got permabanned from his favorite hangout spot in the entire world, the game place where he had met Megan. Now, there's different accounts of what actually had gotten him finally banned from the game place. From what I could tell, it's either he got into an argument with a young black kid. I think we all kind of know how that ended up.
TikTok took down my last world record speed run, so I'm back with another attempt using the same BLM hardcore S&D meta. Hopefully we can get the times. Lobby. BLM. It don't matter. Yes, go! That's the fucking world record! I did it!
Or it was this thing he used to do repeatedly, which he was told not to do, and this was like the final straw, where he would bring his Wii into the place and then hook it up to a TV and just play it super loud while singing Britney Spears songs to himself without the music, preventing any other kids from playing games on that TV, literally the whole reason it was there. Perhaps it was some kind of combination of both. Whatever it was, I can guarantee you it was in some way homophobic, racist, and most likely creepy. August 3rd of 2008 is another day that will go down in Christory. It's a moment where many Christorians like myself would consider this war he had going on with ED to really heat up. He would basically just release a YouTube video, essentially declaring a full-on blitzkrieg against the website.
Y'all think I'm just a sap, a chump, dumbass, whatever you may think. But you know what? You, every last one of you who has expressed hate against me, you're the shitheads. Also, every last one of you who thinks that I am similar to that senile old man in Family Guy, you're the files. Every one of you who thinks I'm homo and calls me that because I am not, I'm straight. You're the homos. Every last one of you.
Of course, he would blame them for his breakup with Megan as well.
Will I ever find my sweetheart? And am I or Megan Shore still an iron? Which, by the way, she broke up with me so much long ago because the contributors to that ED page, you broke the emotional strength between us. You promoted such twists and turns to everything I have said and drawn and written and whatnot. You broke up the best friendship, the best relationship, the closest I could ever have in this pitiful adult life. You did it! Every last one of you. If I could blame myself, I would definitely blame myself for drawing those 5 pictures. And twisting it around as such. Think about it. Think about it. Lay on your conscience.
Just 2 days later, on August 5th, the Chrischan article would become the featured article on the front page of the entire site. And just 3 days after that, on August the 8th, the entire ED site would go down for completely unrelated reasons, and Chris would instantly claim victory.
Ladies and gentlemen on the internet, to all the Sonic you fans,
I am pleased to announce that the Encyclopedia Dramatica, not only the webpage, but the whole freaking website's going down.
Unsurprisingly for everyone, this short period the website had been down, probably for routine maintenance, did not stop the trolls at all. They just became more creative on how they'd get back at Chris, or attack Chris, one of the two. If anything, it just made them more devious. They started to take advantage of Chris's love quest and pose as actual women on the internet that were interested in him. And it's around this time that Chris would start talking to Blanca Weiss and Panda Halo. Blanca Weiss? I don't know. For now, Chris might be the horniest person to have ever lived. You see, vibranium greatswords couldn't break through the unstoppable force that is his virgin rage.
I'm standing in your house, serving justice to a man who stole your vibranium and murdered your people. Justice your king couldn't deliver.
Why are you gay? Needless to say, that was also taken advantage of. In comes Blanca Weiss, whose name in Spanish and German is White. Her name literally translates to white, which I guess is good considering Chris's racism. Obviously, Blanca was various 12-year-old boys posing as a human female, something that Chris would not be able to pick up on. So they email back and forth, convincing Chris that they are in fact dating, or as he likes to call it, sweethearts. On multiple occasions, Chris would ask her thoughts on pornography and offers to send nudes, which Blanca accepts, and Chris does just that, sending nudes to Lord Silly Nipples, probably one of my favorite trolls, or at least screen names for one of Chris's trolls. There's actually this other real human girl, Vivian G, who Chris had struck up a bunch of conversations with, who had begged him on multiple occasions to stop conversing with Blanca as she was not real, and Chris completely ignored all the sane advice from a living human being and decided to continue his very false relationship with a 12-year-old boy posing as a human female. So his nudes end up getting leaked, and Chris demands that Blanca speak to him right now on Skype, or else he's breaking up with her. Blanca, trying to calm him down, realizing that Chris is starting to get a little suspicious of what's going on, manages to just completely fool him by having a high-pitched voice of a 12-year-old. Chris is completely unable to discern the difference between a voice of a 12-year-old boy and a human living adult female. And just to illustrate just how horny Christopher is, here's some pictures of Blanca that she had sent to Chris. These are legit pictures that were sent to Chris. Somehow the fact that each picture was a different person also managed to fool him. Just as Chris manages to patch things up with Blanca, just as things are going steady, he ends up abruptly breaking up with her to start dating Panda Halo, another imaginary girl from Australia. But after having a bad dream, a premonition perhaps, Chris realizes that he made a mistake in dumping Blanca for Panda and decides to dump Panda to try to win back Blanca, his one and only true love, his one true sweetheart, Blanca. He even sends her a love letter as well as a one-of-a-kind medallion that he had made, as well as a PSP that he was going to give to Megan. There's also a love triangle going on at one point between Chris, Blanca, and this other girl, Sarah Jackson, who mysteriously dies after getting hit by Optimus Prime disguised as a truck. So they decide to record a little video and post it online of them cutting up the medallion, throwing it in a jar of pickles. Chris really detests pickles, by the way, and then setting it on fire ceremoniously.
I'm singing my heart and I'm ready for love. Just singing.
My wooden bed is delicious! Chris releases a rebuttal video, if that's what you want to call it, where he remakes the medallion, obviously not in the exact same way because he wouldn't be able to do that, and posted online saying that no, Blanca actually sent me back the medals and this is the real one. You guys had a total replica or whatever. It's also worth noting that Chris at some point mentioned that the medallion was the source of all his power. I don't know what that means. Maybe the Kamehameha power. No one actually freaking knows. So he had claimed that medallion was the source of his power. Obviously, that's why the trolls had destroyed it. So also in this video, Chris claims that he had been lying the whole time, and the true source of his power was actually the Amethyst ring, if you remember from before. His graduation ring. And at the end of the year, Blanca actually breaks up with Chris because, of course, they would still be together at this point. He hadn't picked up on anything.
Captain's log, stardate, October 21st, 2008. Well, it's done. Blanca and I, well, she broke up with me because the pickle man tricked me again. A few more stupid photos. Anyway, she saw them, she got angry, she broke up with me. So, I'm sad.
So Chris starts talking more with Panda Halo as we move into 2009. 2009 is another banger year for Chris. He starts emailing back and forth with Shigeru Miyamoto in January. If you're unfamiliar with Shigeru Miyamoto, he is the founder of Nintendo Entertainment and the creator of lesser-known video game characters Mario and Zelda. So yeah, Miyamoto is just emailing back and forth with him. He's extremely interested in developing a video game based off his copyright infringing character, which not only infringed on the IP of one of his very own characters from his company that he founded, but it also infringed on the IP of a completely different company that he had nothing to do with and could not get the rights to, Sega. And as things heated up, then president of Nintendo of America, Reggie Phil M.A. was CC'd on the email thread too. Wait, hold on. My French isn't that good, but doesn't that directly translate to Reggie loves boys? Unfortunately for Chris, the entire project ends up getting derailed by Clyde. Who's Clyde? You guessed it, another group of trolls pretending to be a singular entity. I'm gonna try and TLDR the Chris story here, but it starts off with Ryan Cash, Clyde Cash's brother. You see, Ryan was a huge fan of the Shoutout comic series and ended up committing suicide when Chris decided to delay the release of issue number 7. This was around the time that the ED situation had really first started to pop off, so he was kind of busy with that whole thing. You see, Clyde was so inflamed by Chris's lack of sympathy for the fake death of his fake brother, he vowed fake revenge on Chris for his brother, becoming Chris's Joker, a real one and true arch nemesis. So in one of the most demonic things I've ever heard, Clyde posing as Greg Mays, a fake developer for the fake video game being fake developed by fake Shigeru Miyamoto, starting to converse back and forth with Chris, managing to hack into his website Sonichu.net by, well, just asking him for his logins.
Captain's log, January 8, 2009. Ladies and gentlemen of the Sonichu fan base, unfortunately, due to a troll having found access to the database behind Sonichu.net, it is temporarily shut down and I cannot change the password at the moment. Greg Mays at gmail.com with 3 G's in the Greg.
And my favorite part of the plan, Greg, holding the website for ransom, reveals his true identity as Clyde Cash, vowing to get his revenge for his brother. Scratch that. My favorite part of the whole thing was the demands. What is the price that Chris had to pay? He had to post a video online declaring that he was gay. It's just so stupid.
Hello. Sometimes even us brave heroes need to come out the closet. You heard me. I am gay.
just imagining this being like this huge, like, you know, world-ending thing for Chris. Like, literally, this is him. This is him as Batman, you know, fighting injustice, having to give in to these terrorist-like demands. And the demands is that he has to declare himself as gay. Like, it's just so freaking dumb. Okay, wait, hold on. I forgot. This even gets better. So Chris obviously has no backbone and gives in to these terrorist threats. And just like Chris, the fake Miyamoto is also just happens to be a homophobe and cuts all ties with Chris, ending Chris's dream of stealing the intellectual property from a Japanese genius and then having him fund an entire video game around his stolen ideas. And then Chris tried to actually sue Clyde Cash with his lawyer, Jay-Z, who not only didn't pass the bar exam, also didn't exist.
If you do not re-upload science.net back to the way it was before you even started, I will come down at you with my boys from Nintendo and my lawyer man from Nintendo, Jay-Z. He gonna come down with his boys from Nintendo and the boys at Sega. They're gonna track you down. We're gonna punish you for what you did if you don't bring my website back up to the way it was. So just listen to me, you jerk. Re-upload it, or we're gonna rain heckle on you, because I'm not afraid to show my fangs.
Oh man, I wish I could make this up. February is usually a month of love, but in this year, it's just a month of tragedy. On February 7th, or maybe 9th, the Black Saturday bushfire tears through Victoria, Australia, claiming the lives of 137 people and one imaginary person as well. Chris's girlfriend, Panda Halo. So Chris immediately starts dating Julie. Here's a picture of what Chris actually thought she looked like. Yeah. Julie was a bit more on the kinky side and had asked Chris to take some sexually explicit videos for her, leading to one of the more infamous moments in Chris's life, where a video leaks online of him having sex with a blow-up doll while screaming the name Julie.
Oh yeah, Julie. I'm ready to go. Julie. 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 Julie.
It turns out that Julie also had an evil brother, Max, who abducted her for reasons. Clyde managed to convince Chris to drive 400 miles to Cleveland to go and rescue her, which he does. Worried sick, his mom ends up calling the cops and filing a missing persons report, and obviously, etc., 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 it blows up way bigger than it should. To illustrate just how crazy Chris's life is up until this point, in March of that year, Chris's relationship with Julie comes to a TLC reality show style ending. So Julie's evil brother, Max, manages to get control of Chris's PSN account. I don't remember exactly how. Probably he just ended up like texting Julie, the login. And on a over 1 hour audio call, which is obviously online and available for everyone to hear, Max holds Julie and Chris's PSN account ransom.
You do not put it on eBay. I lost Sonic.net that way. Now I'm not going to lose my PSN account this way.
And once again, having no backbone, Chris gives in to these terrorist-like demands. He would declare somebody posing as Billy Mays, the now defunct spokesman of OxyClean, the president of Quickville.
Billy Mays, Billy Mays, Billy Mays, we got that Billy Mays, Billy Mays, Billy Mays, Billy Mays, we got that Billy Mays.
Don't ask. Oh, and he also had to cut up his new Sonichu medallion and put the pieces up his butt. And it was only after Chris gave in to all the demands that in a twist only one person on the entire planet did not see coming, it turned out that not only Max, but Julie, and also possibly Billy Mays, the 50-year-old spokesperson for the now defunct OxyClean, were all actually a singular 13-year-old boy named Spike Blue. I'm sorry, Blue Spike, an individual that this whole time had been aligned with Clyde Cash as the duo concocted this devastating ruse.
Chris?
Julie?
There's something I've been trying to tell you for a while.
Yes?
Well, I'm gonna be there tomorrow, and I think it's safe to say that I can tell you this with my heartfelt love.
Alright, yes, go ahead and tell me now.
This whole time, Chris, you've been having sex with a 13-year-old boy, you sick?
What?
Yeah, I'm a 13-year-old boy, Chris, and you've been having sex with me this entire time. I'm gonna give all your fucking data to Chris Hansen, you fucking pedo fork. So you better get the fuck out now before I report you to the fucking feds. Get out.
Now wait a
Alright.
minute. I did not know you were a 13-year-old.
Yes, you did. They're not gonna believe you. They're gonna fucking put you away.
Chris got over Julie not existing pretty quickly and went on a date with an actual human girl named Emily. Bob, Chris's quick-witted father, decided to join Chris on this date as he suspected this might be another trap to make his son look the fool. But hey, to everyone's surprise, an actual human female showed up to dinner. But then halfway through the dinner, she actually ended up breaking up with Chris and decided to leave with a man in a pickle suit, one of Chris's long-standing trolls. Dang it, got him again. After the whole Emily debacle, Chris decided to move on to Ivy, obviously another troll, and Ivy truly brought out something deranged in Chris. His demeanor and sexual fervor rose to a new level. Sank to a new level? Potato tomato. This is where we also get introduced to Joshua Martinez. Introduced for us. For Chris, it was a reintroduction. As children, they had actually met. You see, at the time, they had gone to speech therapy together. Josh had a lisp at the time, and Chris, well, he just couldn't. You either die a hero, or you live long enough to trick a mentally challenged adult into having sex with imaginary women. Is that how that goes? Well, you either live long enough to die a hero, or however the saying goes. Josh ends up becoming a villain. Josh would pretend to be actress Vanessa Hudgens and convince Chris to send in an audition tape for a movie that she was filming, also convincing him that she was the casting director.
My Cash, you dare try to get in the way of my past, in my internet life, even in my real life, you will never steal Ivy away from me. Because not only will I protect her, but God and Jesus will too. Get behind me, Ivy! I'll protect you from that murderous scoundrel, Clyde Cash. Take this! Come on, you want some of this? You want some of this, Clyde? Come on, Clyde. Come on. Come on, Clyde. Oh, is that all you got? Is that all you got? You murderous Clyde Cash, I swear! I will protect Ivy with my life! I love you, Ivy. I always will. Clyde, leave us alone. Leave us alone, you murderous fiend.
It was humiliating. Vanessa Hudgens and Chris would start talking over AIM chat, where Chris would end up masturbating, his words not mine, to Vanessa Hudgens over chat, which a few days later he would have to publicly apologize for because, of course he had cheated on his girlfriend Ivy. A bunch of videos of Chris leak online from this group called the Miscreants, who you may not be familiar with by name, but I'm sure you're very familiar with a lot of the group's members. Members include Blanca Weiss, Blue Spike, Clyde Cash, Emily, Jason Kendrick, Howell, the Man in the Pickle Suit, Lord Silly Nipples, Shigeru Miyamoto, Vivian G, and Billy Mays. Anyways, these videos that leaked online can truly attest to the jacked up, horny mental state that Chris was in due to Ivy. For instance, one of the videos was him dancing in the shower with an imaginary Ivy who, if you don't remember, is completely imaginary and doesn't exist. Then probably another one of the most famous moments in Chris's life, the Fanta video, which I'm not sure if I could show here, but it's definitely findable.
This is for my sweetest Ivy's eyes only. Here's some of my cum I just managed to pour out. Not to that much. That's usually a lot. Couldn't find any chocolate syrup, I have some orange soda. Oh, thumbs up. There you go, Ivy. Orange flavored gum. Hope you enjoyed that.
To show his dedication to Ivy, Chris came in a plastic cup and then mixed it with orange Fanta, mainly because he couldn't find chocolate syrup like was asked of him. And despite his rampant homophobia, begrudgingly drank it. And again, if you feel bad for this individual for, him clearly being abused and taken advantage of, I have to remind you, at this same time, without being prompted, he also uploaded 2 separate videos trying to cancel Unilever, the parent company to Axe body spray, for allowing their products to be sold to gay people.
I write this letter today with concern of hearing that the homosexual population wear the Axe body spray as often as or greater than the straight people, like myself. For the longest time, Axe have been advertised and meant for straight men to attract women. It was certainly not meant to attract other dudes. I would ask to ban sale of and use of the products from the homos, but that would be retarded. Instead, I respectfully and humbly request that on the package a statement such as designed only for straight-oriented men, or something strongly similar. Please make this so, and please do not try to blow me off for having an opinion about the product, or having an opinion about the homosexuals, because I do not care much about them. Sincerely, Christian Winston Chandler, proud, straight, male, Axe user. Peace.
This is before cancel culture. Chris may have actually invented cancel culture. Chris would then release a video titled ECV00095, essentially defending himself on some of the more recent events in his life. He defends himself drinking his own cum by saying that he masturbates into cups and then drinks it because he likes to recycle. He doesn't really dive deeper into his thought process here, which I would freaking love to do. But it is heavily implied that he thinks that he is replenishing his semen count by drinking it because of science.
Captain's log, stardate April 28th, 2009. It has come to my attention that certain videos of the naughty nature have been leaked. I recycle my own semen because, yes, I do masturbate. I'm not ashamed to admit it. As a lot of guys, I'm sure, have done the same thing in their time. Anyway, basically, into the cup, and, I recycle it. So that way, I won't lose any unborn children. So then I can also still have a good number of a good semen count. Keep maintaining that by recycling that.
He also defends a leaked photo of himself of him wearing adult diapers because, yes, somebody convinced him to put on adult diapers. And his defense is that he doesn't actually need adult diapers, but he does admit to shitting his pants when he gets nervous.
And sometimes I do, I get very stressed out from people who yell at me or misunderstand me or talk bad about me. And between that and other real life stresses, it just builds up, and sometimes it just comes out, and I sometimes accidentally poo my pants.
Chris! I wish I could just jump in a time machine and just grab this guy and just be like, stop, please. Although this video was extremely popular in the Chrischan community at the time, it would actually break through to the mainstream, being featured on big radio shows like the Kevin and Bean Show, as well as one of my favorite radio shows from back in the day, the Opie and Anthony Show.
I'm like, my whole mouth just started like just getting all fucked up. But this guy is putting his semen in like plastic cups and then
he drinks it.
Oh, good God.
Sometimes though, because the cum is so thick, sometimes what you gotta do is take a plastic spoon and scoop the cum down inside the cup so you get it all. It's got a metallic taste.
Bukakis himself.
Keep going, because I think you get me to puke.
And while all this was going on, Chris would find out that Ivy and Vanessa Hutchins were both fake. Well, not the real Vanessa Hutchins, but the fake one. In response to all of the craziness going on in his life at the moment, Chris would release another video online declaring that if any woman would want to meet him in the future, it would be a requirement that they meet in person. He would even go on to post an ad on Craigslist for man seeking women ages 18 to 27 and not black.
I still am looking for an 18 to 27-year-old, smoke-free, non-alcoholic, non-black woman.
Chris would release a wild video on his YouTube account. It was a parody song titled "Don't Trust Any Hoes Over There," which would parody "Don't Trust Them New Is Over There" from the cartoon The Boondocks. I'll play a censored version of it, I guess. I don't know if I'm allowed to do this. YouTube, if anyone at YouTube ever sees this in the future, or if an algorithm picks this up, I just want to say, my Lord and Savior, Susan Wojcicki, I am sorry. I do not condone any of the things said in the video that will be coming up very shortly. My apologies in advance, but I do think it's integral to the mind state of the subject at hand.
Hello, my name is Uncle Ruckus, no relation. I'm gonna sing y'all a song I just made up. It's called "Don't Trust Any Hoes Over There." Sing along if you know the words. Da 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 da. Don't trust any hoes over there, leaving their stank in the air. Them sappy, flappy, dumb hoes with their finger on the trigger. Don't trust any hoes over there.
Chris apologizes a day later. Then came one of my favorite sagas in all of Christory, the Liquid Chris saga. You see, Chris had multiple YouTube accounts throughout the years, most of them being abandoned due to him getting hacked, and by getting hacked I mean getting tricked into giving his password out to some unruly individual. Anyways, at the time his channel was called Chrischan Sonichu, so some crafty individual decided to create a very similarly named channel, Chrischan Sonichu CWC. Of course, CWC being his initials, Christian Wester Chandler, which would often be shortened to Quick. The channel's host would not only claim to be the real Chrischan, but would also denounce Chris's channel.
Captain's log. Stardate, June 21st, 2009. My name is Christian Weston Chandler, and y'all already know me as the creator of the Sonichu franchise and comics, and the Roast Chew comic as well.
You might be asking yourself, why am I showing footage of Chrischan? Oh, no. This, in fact, is indeed the imposter. And then you also be asking yourself, why is there a third Chrischan that looks extremely identical to the other two, but maybe slightly more handsome? It is not Chrischan. It is still me, Cucumber Feet. That's not funny, just throwing some kind of wacky noise in editing. It is not Chrischan. Should have taken off the glasses, forgot my hair. Anyways, somewhere in the lore it was collectively decided upon that we needed to give these two Chrischans individual names so we can distinguish which one is which, because they're just so darn similar. So it was decided that this new Chrischan, claiming to be the real Chrischan, would in fact now be called Liquid Chris, with the original or the OG Chrischan being dubbed Solid Chris.
After all, our genetic code is identical.
So it's true, you and I are...
Yes, twins. But we're not ordinary twins. We're twins linked by cursed genes. Les enfants terribles.
And for all intents and purposes, I will use those names going forward to avoid confusion. And I guess you can call me Solidus Chris.
What?
To add to the confusion between the two Chris's, we would see Liquid Chris identically copy all of Solid Chris's YouTube videos.
Hello.
Hello.
Some of you may have seen
Some of you may
video
have seen the
which I've recently
video
uploaded,
that was posted
saying that I
last
was,
night, saying that I was of the wrong orientation.
The Chrischan community was just, they were completely confused by all of this. They didn't know who to believe. I mean, one of the prevalent theories at the time was that Solid Chris was actually a man named Ian Brandon Anderson and was actually the imposter.
And another thing, my name is not Ian Brandon something! I am Christian Weston Chandler! So get it through your damn go and call me the real name that God has been given to me and the bear at Regency Square Shopping Center during 1989. You damn mocking bastard! Get it right! I'm Christian Weston Chandler. You are only Chris Chandler. Your medal is made out of paper. The whole length of time, the real medal has been made out of Crayola, model magic, and acrylic paint. If I wanted paper, I would go to Walmart and pay $5 for 500 sheets. And everybody on the internet knows that I am the real deal. You are the imposter, so give up the damn game already before I really call the police. Before I tell the police all the information I have gotten since I finally got them involved, and then send them on your case, put you in jail, even though I would prefer not to see you in jail. So quit this stupid impersonation game. Call me by the real name that God and the bear has given me throughout my whole life. The current full name of Christian Weston Chandler, my birth name being Christopher, and my Spanish nickname being Ricardo. But in the end, just call me the full name, Christian Weston Chandler. This game is not fun. If you are not careful, you really are going to go to jail. You will be tried in court, and you will be going to jail, or serve community service. Forcedly. I was nice about it. I told you the details. And what do? You kick me in the balls again! And I do not appreciate that. So stop it. Stop it. Come clean. Rip off your paper medallion. Rip it up like a shred of paper. Look at my medal. I cannot even twist it because it is made from mono magic. Not some cheap paper I could get at Walmart for $500 for 500 sheets.
A brash young Liquid Chris would try to state his name as the one and true undisputed Chrischan by declaring civil war. Solid Chris was desperate to protect his identity and would accept the declaration of war laid upon him. And upon so would also lay out the terms for the forthcoming battle. It'd all be decided in a SingStar challenge. SingStar was, I don't know, some kind of now defunct video game singing series. I never played it. I'm a true gamer. Only play real hardcore games like the American remake of Metal Gear.
Fuck, that was ridiculous. The enemies respawn if you go in the truck. It's not like I left the screen, it was just a sub area. And once you get out of the truck, you're immediately open to enemy fire. That is so fucking cheap. You want to play dirty? Alright, fucking goddamn piece of shit.
The rules were actually not that simple. They each had to sing 5 songs without any lyrics or karaoke equipment present, whatever that means. MP3s of the backing track could play in the background, but No instruments allowed, no live instruments, I suppose. The fifth and final song in the competition had to be chosen by the opposition. Each song had to be filmed and uploaded to YouTube within 24 hours of each other, meaning they would go back and forth, trading song for song. No microphones allowed, only webcam mics, and any mutiny to the rules, his words not mine, would mean the competition would have to be restarted.
Any mutiny against the rules I have set forth in this video will be not countable, and you would have to do it all over again.
And then weirdly in this announcement video, he would then proceed to clumsily shave himself on camera with the hair just falling all over the floor of his bedroom. It's funny, I didn't put two and two together, but I mean, like, this is just a clear sign of where things are to go with his living situation much later in this video. Once a song has been sung, it is not allowed to be used again in the competition, and they each had to pick their own judges, 3 judges each.
Game on. Abre la contesta. Sonic boom, sonic boom. Your play.
You're pitiful. You're pitiful. You're pitiful. It's true. Your play.
Here's a classic from M2M and the Pokemon world. Love will find a way, love will find a way. Your turn. Imposter. I believe you fail.
Well, this is a story all about how
Some sad but true.
oh, once in your life you find someone.
You got the touch. You got the power.
Come around, I'll let you feel the burn. Think twice before you touch my girl.
Solid Chris was forced to sing Smell Your Dick by Risque in the final round, which is hilarious. His own rules being used against him.
Are you only home? 5 in the morning. Something's going on. Can I smell your dick? Don't play me like a fool, cause that ain't cool. So what you need to do is let me smell your dick.
Well, I told you not to, and you did. And now you ad-libbed, you changed the song, and you are disqualified. No, wait. I take that back. I will rescind your disqualification if within the next 4 hours you record the true and original version of the song, No Changes. Or else I won't even have to sing your song, because I will be the winner by default. And I will be crowned the true and honest Christian Weston Chandler. Peace.
Something's going on, can I smell your dick? Tell me that you smoke, cause that ain't cool. So what you need to do is let me smell your dick.
Captured by your holiness.
And obviously Chris never really made any friends. He either had enablers or people posing as enablers trying to tear him down. So when it came to the judges scoring, it was a 4-2 decision against him. Now meaning that Solid Chris had to relinquish the title of Chrischan and the identity of Christian Weston Chandler. Not legally, of course.
I officially declare myself the winner of the SingStar Challenge contest because your judges have not followed any rules, uploaded any videos. My judges have been following the rules and giving me scores. Therefore, because you have no scores, you're out of the running, and I am the true Christian Weston Chandler.
Chris would film a house tour earlier in the year, and it would reveal something very special about his parents. So why don't we play a game of multiple choice? Is it A, his parents were dirty, filthy sex addicts who had a sex swing in the basement? Or was it was B, they were hoarders?
The kitchen. Well, I just decided to leave the tree up without the star on top. Yeah, it's a bit of a mess. This was the living room, again, before we cleared it up with so much mess.
We're not getting any chill. I'm afraid I pissed her off a couple nights ago.
Oh, that's not too difficult to do.
My family is a bunch of pack rats.
Yeah, they just had garbage all over the place and clearly were violating many health codes. This sent Chris into a rage, one of my favorite rages of all time. He was angrily demanding that fans or trolls take down, remove any video or image evidence of his house from the internet, and of course it was not.
This does not even deserve a captain's log introduction, because this is dead serious. The inside and outside tour I did a few months ago of my house, everyone on the internet, my mother and my father are angry at me. They're blaming at me. It's my fault. I admit it's my fault. I want everything about my house off the internet. I'll send in detectives. I'll send in police. I'll send in everything in my power. So yeah, please get everything off of the internet now, 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 now. Curse the trolls. Peace to everybody else.
And a few days later, Vivian G, one of Chris's trolls, would leak an uncut version of the video where Chris's dad would interrupt.
This does not even deserve a captain's log introduction, because this is dead serious. The inside and outside tour I did a few months ago of my house, everyone on the internet, my mother and my father are angry at me. They're blaming at me. It's my fault. I admit it's my fault. I want everything about my house off the internet. I'll send in detectives. I'll send in police. I'll send in everything in my power to get it off the internet.
Listen to me. Listen to me.
Yes.
Listen to me.
Yes.
Shut that goddamn thing off. I don't care what you do. You get all that stuff off of there tonight.
I'm working on it.
Go work on it.
I am
Do
working.
you realize? Do you realize something? Let me tell you. If the health department of Greene County sees those videos that you put on the damn internet, they could condemn our house and we would have to move out of it.
I see.
You go get that goddamn stuff off of there and fast.
I'm working on it. I was making a YouTube video for you to tell everybody to get the images off of the internet. It's out of my control.
Oh, you get them off.
It's out of my control. I don't know where to go. I don't know where to go.
You loaded them up there. You unload them.
I'm working on it.
Go do it.
I am doing it. I'm sorry.
Get in here and do it. I'll be up all night with you if I have to. You won't get any sleep till that stuff off.
I'm working on it.
Get in there and start.
I'm working on it. Let me do these stupid videos. I can tell everybody at my command to get everything, help me get everything off the internet about our house.
I don't want to get kicked out of my house by the health department. And what you just did was stick a knife in our back and kill us.
Alright, let me just
get that stuff off of there.
I'm
Get it off of there fast.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it. So yeah, please get everything off of the internet now, 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 now! Curse the trolls. Peace to everybody else.
Which led to some hilarious, spicy memes online.
This does not even deserve a captain's log introduction, because this is dead serious. I'm working on it. It's out of my control. I don't know where to go. I don't know where to go.
You loaded them up there. You unload them. I don't care what you do. You get all that stuff off of there tonight.
Also, they were evicted 3 weeks later on Bob's birthday. Another one of my personal favorites in the last quarter of 2009, Chris would upload this video challenging Clyde Cash to a fight, just kind of fed up with his shit.
Look at Mr. Clyde Cash now. His muscles are so weak, they fall right down. Look at that. He's so weak and feeble. And look at him. And you know what? I highly recommend this to every dude who goes around shirtless. Wear a muscle bra, because nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to see your doggone ugly pecs. They're so ugly and repulsive. Ugh. Creeps everybody out. But anyway, you want to see real muscles, check these out. Da-da-da-dun, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But anyway, enough said about me. This guy is really weak. Stay tuned for another piece.
And then there's this video where I'm actually not too sure what the point of it was. And at the end of the year, Liquid Chris would reemerge as well, ostensibly closing the Liquid saga. We get the finale to the whole craziness between these two Chris's, which to this day, I didn't know which one's the real one. And this final chapter of the Liquid saga would be dubbed by the community Civil War II, Casey Boogaloo. I wasn't gonna mention her, but I guess I should at this point. Casey was an actual human girl that was or still is married to Liquid Chris. I think they were dating at the time. It's a little unconfirmed, but they ended up meeting and getting married through trolling Solid Chris. You know, as a race, I don't think we deserve the internet. So with them being so close at the time, Casey would end up trolling Chris throughout this whole Liquid saga as well. During the first Civil War, Solid Chris would try to have sex with Katie behind Liquid's back as a way to get back at him for being the imposter. His plan? Of course, it was pretty simple. He would try to imitate Liquid Chris, who was imitating Solid Chris, to trick Casey into having unconsenting sex with her. Ooh. Yes, the impersonation was as bad as you think, and Casey, playing along with the whole obvious ruse, would record some audio calls between the two of them and then leak those online, which Solid Chris would get trolled for once again.
Okay, well, I mean, just that imposter, I know he's really, really, really getting to you.
Oh, yeah, he's been getting to me. He's been racking up my nerves. Just really turning me, making me so angry.
God, I know. He pisses me off, too. I can't believe he's trying to be you when you're just so much sexier and hotter.
Yeah.
And, I mean, his voice doesn't even sound like yours.
Yeah. I mean, can you believe him? He just looks so, oh, shoot, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Oh, yeah, he looks so sophomoric.
Yeah, he does, I guess. I mean...
Yeah, I mean, the imposter looks like he's got to be about 13 or 16, does not have the diploma or the degrees or the certificate I had from being water boy on the varsity basketball team during my freshman year.
Right. What are you talking about?
After Liquid Chris won the SingStar Challenge, ending the first Civil War, Solid Chris started to fall in love with Casey. And she played along, kind of creating this one-sided love triangle, an isosceles love triangle. Is that a term that's been used before? Solid Chris would violate free speech laws by threatening to murder Liquid Chris in one of his dumb little comics or whatever. This would prompt a three-way call between the three of them, including Casey, who would break things off with Solid Chris, disgusted by his actions, marrying Liquid Chris. You know, not the greatest ending to a manga arc, but yeah, what are you gonna do? Hey, but in the epilogue, we get Solid Chris, who I guess I could just call Chrischan again now, since he's the only one true Chrischan once again, would release a video of him literally crying about losing his chance to have sex with Casey, which it came off very pathetic.
Congratulations on your wedding. I wish you and Chris all happiness in the world. I'll say prayer for you. For the wedding, safe honeymoon.
Man, the ending of that arc really tasted like poop. So as a little palate cleanser, how about this little tidbit of information from the same year? Chris, after this second Civil War ending the entire arc, would announce and then release a storyline in his upcoming Shoutout comic about how his blood would be used to cure homosexuality. You know, because he's a homophobe with a god complex. I mean, that's just like next level dumb. I mean, you want to hate gay people? Hate gay people. I don't care. That's probably the wrong thing to say. I can understand not liking gay people. That didn't come off the way. I can understand a person disliking. That also sounds weird. People don't like gay people. I have seen it before. Get it, fine. I don't agree with it, but I understand that is a thing that can happen. But thinking that your blood could be used to cure being gay is retarded. And Chris decides to end this year with a bang by releasing a few videos of himself rapping, and one of which where he, I'm pretty sure, admits to wanting to have sex with a black chick, which, in case if you forgot, racism.
Yo, what is up, homies and homes and homisses, dudettes and dudes? This ain't no update on the Sonic Shoe thing. No working on it, but listen up, listen up. Put down your iPods and listen up. I had a test that shows stock market had a rise in hoes. I tell you what now. Tell you what. What? Momentary pause to recollect. I tell you what, ladies, I have a game. Let's play Jungle Fever. I'm the manly tiger. You're the sleek, sexy panther. I pounce on you, you run away. I haven't missed, but I chase anyway. And we chase for a while. And then you wear out and you take it like a gal. And we pump, until we have our little tiger panther cubs. Or since it's Christmas time, let's make like I'm Mr. Yo Business Claus. I have a good old heat, 'cause I took a bit of Viagra. Bam, 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 ho, ho, oh. Word. I have a confidence booster, and my confidence is at the max. So, there, that's the word of the day. Still an update on the Wikipedia. Hey. Word up, peace out.
And here's a video of him showing that he's a Juffalo. His words, not mine.
Captain's Rockin' Loud, fans, and we're rocking it out loud with Juffalo family from my gal here. And he wanted to know if I would trade 10 Juggalos for 100 mainstream fans. And I said, I would trade 10 Juggalos for 100,000 mainstream fans. 10 Juggalos is priceless. I got love for my homies, members of the Lotus. You know, we stand scorching on deadly forces.
Maybe I should just call this whole thing His Words Not. And in his final kind of moment of the year, Chris would lose a long-stemming battle with trolls over posting pro-homosexual ads on his website, even writing a letter to then-President Barack Obama to make it illegal to make gay ads.
I am making this video as an address to the sysop of my Wikipedia. Remember, I am the captain of this boat. Without me, this website would not be in existence or anything within it. And my statements and my requests are simple and clear. Undo the protection you have done on the front page. The only ones that should not be allowed to edit it at all are anybody other than you and me.
2010 was honestly kind of a bleh year compared to the last two, so I'm just gonna briefly go over the highlights of it in less detail. Trolls would release a comic book called Asperchew, a parody of Sonichu with Asperger's. And with the irony of it being completely lost on Chris that his copyright infringing parody character would be parodied in a non-copyright infringing character because he never copyrighted his uncopyrightable character in the first place.
And he makes his Asperchew character wear nearly every shirt I wear. Nearly every shirt. So, I'd send this message again to Alec, Evan, and even Mao. I have less offense with Sean, by the way, but to those three, die. Die in hell. And I hope the soul of my late dog eats at your souls and kills you in your sleep. But aside from that,
Chris had a brief stint with a non-troll gal pal that he named, codenamed Wallflower. He tried to keep her separate from the internet and his life on it, but the trolls managed to get a hold of her and forward her the Wikipedia page. She would get to see all the dark and dirty sides of Chris that had existed on the internet up until this point, and would pretty much just instantly break things off with him, stating that she hated him. He would get into a feud with another troll named Surfshack Tito, who, for whatever reason, Chris thought that him and Wallflower were dating, so of course this would make him enemy number 1. He would release a video just full-on blasting N towards Tito, even though there was zero indication of Tito's race. Just full-on blasting N.
Tito, you stay away from Heather, you son of a bitch. You have no right taking her from me like that, you womanizing rapist. And if you go near her again, and I will find you. I will find you. I will cut you up. I will beat you up. I'll knock you on your backside, stand on your gut like a log roller, and roll your fat right through your skull. Rolling it wide open. Because that's what you deserve, you goddamn womanizing rape, trolling stupid pickle-suited nick. And don't you dare contact me in my email again, or contact me ever. You stay away from me in contact. Don't call me. I will find you.
There's also a video of Chris wearing a kilt threatening Tito's life with a very tiny pocket knife.
Tito! Listen to me, you son of a bitch. Your days are numbered. I have forwarded your admission to Heather, and also the gal pal that we know between us, our Scarlet. And with great honor and glory, I will take pleasure in beating up your ass. And also regain the love and trust and friendship of Heather. Either way, you are going down, Tito. One way, 2 ways. Or 3. Ah, Kiwi laddie, you're not gonna get the lassie today. I kick your ass with me shillelagh and my ring man.
He then pleads with Wallflower to start dating him instead of Tito. There was no evidence to substantiate that claim, nor had anyone actually made it, even Tito. His arguments for Wallflower to date him instead of Tito? That he's pathetic and hookers cost money. I mean, solid logic. How could anyone disagree?
This message goes out to Damien Antaria, her pen name, not revealing her real name, all things considered. You know something? You don't need that new boyfriend, because I need you. We were very compatible. We had so much in common. I don't see why you had to go and do that. I mean, you weren't even ready for a boyfriend. You told me so yourself multiple times. Expected that for a little while. But you know what? This puts to mind a little something that I have put together before. Hey, you! I don't like your boyfriend! No way! I think you need a new one! Hey, you! Yeah, I could be your boyfriend! Come on! Damien Antaria? Give me a break! You know what? I don't want to be back in this situation where I'm that desperate that I gotta go as far as to pay $100 for a damn hooker. Give me a break! I'm a 28-year-old high-functioning autistic virgin. I'm in a hell of my own. Come on, please. I've been so very worried about you. I've had heartaches since last Wednesday. I've had sleepless nights. It really hurts. Heartaches hurt. Think about that.
And like a, I don't know, sad, pathetic, something that will make you feel bad for Chris. Chris would win 4 tickets to a motocross demo at his local, I don't know, arena, whatever, it doesn't matter. And he couldn't find 3 people to go with him. There was not 3 people in the world that would want, not even 1 person in the world that wanted to attend with him. So he had to scalp the 3 extra tickets and go by himself. In a Facebook post after the event, he would detail just basically his thoughts and feelings and how lonely he was in that moment. And truly, this is like a moment where you feel really bad for the guy. But then at the end of the post, you're like, ah, God damn it, I hate this guy again. Instead of like reflecting on, I don't know, what happened? Why don't I know 3 people in the whole world? What is it about me and my personality that pushes people away? Why have I destroyed anything even resembling some kind of healthy relationship I've ever had with anyone outside of my mother and father? And instead of being forced to reflect on any of these things, you just come to this drastically misguided conclusion that the only reason anything bad has ever happened to him in his entire life is because he was kicked out of school in elementary.
This is Christian Weston Chandler, alias Christopher Weston Chandler, pre-1990 something. Anyway, I send this message to all the people that were of the Greene County School Board and such during the 1990s, because threatening to put me in a mental institution, that was pretty much why we had to run away and move to Chesterfield County. And I had a better life over there. I had so many friends over there in high school, and I was just sad to leave when I had graduated, because I had to leave all my friends. I had the good life, but we were forced to move back here. You people of Greene County, you could not have left me and my family alone.
Chris gets drunk and drives to, oh yeah, he drinks now, by the way. He's no longer anti-alcohol.
You should avoid at all costs smoking, drinking alcohol, and intaking similar icky, dangerous stuff. And for alcohol, they'll cause liver dysfunction, kidney failures, and not only that, but when you get drunk enough, bar fights and...
So what do you have right now, Chris?
Long Island iced tea.
Say that one more time?
Long Island iced tea.
All right, rock it. Okay. What do you think of it?
Goes down salty.
Kind of salty?
Yep. It's pretty tasty.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. All right.
So, look excited. You don't look very excited.
So now he gets drunk and drives to the Game Place, that store where he had been permabanned from earlier on. He did so with the goal of taking pictures of the store's owner, Michael, so he can print them out and then use his face on his dartboard, which this seems kind of sociopathic, but what would end up happening would actually be much creepier. He didn't take pictures of Michael. He ended up taking pictures of his very young children. Michael saw this and was like, "The fuck are you doing?" Chris panicked and tried to escape in his car. Michael got in front of the car, trying to prevent him from leaving as he called the police. So Chris did what any logical human would do and then hit him with his car. Twice. It just so happened that there were police right there. They actually were in the same parking lot of the mall, so they just kind of circled over in 30 seconds and pretty much saw the whole thing happen for the most part. And in a move that blows my mind, I have no idea how this happened. It's not like Chris is some kind of slick talker that could talk his way out of a ticket or going to jail. He somehow got off with a warning, and the only thing he had to do was delete the pictures of the children, and then he was allowed to drive home drunk. America, yeah! If I've learned anything in making this video, it's that screw white privilege. I want autism privilege. I now identify as autistic. I love trains. I love, honestly, I love women's Japanese professional wrestling. So it's like, close enough already. It's just pick something freaking nerdy, completely obsess over it, and then just only talk about that to everyone you ever meet. I have trouble making eye contact. I rarely speak to my friends anymore. All I do is really hang out with my family. I get drunk and hit people with my car. I mean, my arrogance and need to be the smartest person in the room has truly pushed away anyone that's ever really loved me. Maybe we're just not that different. I am smart, though. Damn it. Chris would accidentally reformat his most prized possession, his PlayStation 3.
I'm so damn stupid. I got a goddamn mother 6-inch with 4-inch diameter balls.
Which, in and of itself, was pretty funny. It was quite hilarious, the whole situation, but it was a lot to read. So the TLDR is that he was having a technical issue with the PlayStation, and he got good advice, but didn't read it properly, and then just completely reformatted his hard drive. And at the same time, he was also forced to reveal to his parents that he had acquired a secret credit card that he had then maxed out completely. I say forced because, well, he's never had a job in his entire life, and the disability check he would get every month from the government, which he would dub his tugboat, he would spend it all on video games. So in a harebrained scheme that only Chris could fall for, he is offered $9,001 by the trolls, which would completely cover his expenses. In exchange, all he had to do was make a video, post it to YouTube of him destroying his PlayStation 3 forever.
Again, this is very graphic, so if you are weak in the stomach, especially as a gamer, look away. And I mean no disrespect to Sony Computer Entertainment America, maker of the fine product.
So with Frodo throwing the Ring of Power in the Mountain of Hordor, so very similarly to Frodo throwing the ring in the Mountain of Hordor, we have Chris kind of weakly destroying his PS3 with a rock. In reality, he had just kind of lightly tapped it and then claimed that the deed was done.
Crushed, unplayable, the deed is done.
So the trolls literally weren't buying it. Do you get it? They literally weren't buying it because they were going to give him money to pay. So in a last-ditch effort to get the $9,001, Chris would shoot another video, which he uploaded to YouTube, of him actually destroying his PlayStation 3 by running it over with his car.
Right over a car, smashed it with a brick. They thought I hit on the metal part and the heavy plastic, but still, when I plugged it in, it did not turn on.
He would not be paid. Chris would then spend his upcoming disability checks on more video games and another PlayStation 3. Chris starts dating Jackie, another fake girl, who convinces him to make a video of himself cosplaying as her favorite Dragon Ball character, Mr. Popo, which to everybody else was an obvious ploy just to get him to do Justin Trudeau. I mean, blackface.
Hello, I am Glasses Maricini, Mr. Popo.
Jackie would continue to suggest that he cosplay as more people on camera, including the Hamburglar.
Hey, folks, rubble, rubble, rubble. And the Hamburger here, Big Jeff and Fat Friend, Rubber here, rubble, rubble. I'm with you, we got big up there, rubble, rubble, rubble. You know, you miss it, rubble, rubble, rubble. Oh, rubble, 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 rubble. Joe, be funny, rubble, 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 rubble.
Grimace.
Hello, I'm a grimace, I'm not dead, I'm not feeling sad.
A homophobic Harry Potter with a spot-on British accent.
I have been in the world of Hogwarts, and I have learned a spell or two, and I shall cast ye spell on all ye vandals out there who have cursed my name, for I am a straight man, and you all are the homosexuals, because you mislabeled me and misjudged me, and now you shall be dispelled and be spelled. You speak ill of me and you speak a bad judgment, you shall have a pain in the leg. Hericus, Trollosis, Erixus, busted us!
And quite possibly my favorite internet video of all time. Sonic himself.
This would be me in my super mode. If I actually had the superpowers.
The ears flopping. I can't handle it. Chris's mental state up until this point had honestly become pretty fractured, admitting as much to Jackie herself. And in a move that I think surprised the entire world, he broke things off with Jackie, but still had the door open to sex. Chris would announce his departure from the internet. He couldn't take the trolls anymore and he was done with it. He just needed to take a break. And our story ends here. I'm just kidding. This is actually the 6th time he announced that he was going to leave the internet forever. The first time, though, lasting more than 72 hours. Chris would be gone for nearly 2 months. Look at this. Look at this. This was a bad idea. Jess, specifically, Jess, if you're watching. I'm not a large. Look at me. This isn't a large. This is an XL. It still doesn't fit. Look, I got fat coming out. I feel so constrained. Everything's tight. It's riding up everywhere. This is a dumb idea. This was stupid. Whose idea? Well, I mean, granted, it was my idea, but this is dumb. Oh, what? We're going to do a little 15-minute bit and this is worth it? I've been dressed like a woman for like 5 minutes and this is the most uncomfortable I've ever been in my entire life. No wonder you guys have freaking body issues. I mean, I'm just looking down at myself. I look like a fat pig. I want to hang myself. I mean, look at this. Why did I go thong accurate? This is so fucking stupid. This is a total bad idea. I'm going to record the whole act like this in this dumb costume. I can't breathe. Everything hurts. My literal asshole is rubbing against my chair right now. This chair will never be clean again. These glasses are still goddamn foggy. I can't see. As we step into a new era of Chris's life, a lot will change. Okay, I'm not doing the glasses. The glasses is stupid. I'm not doing the glasses. This is not even costume accurate. He wasn't wearing glasses in the picture. She wasn't. As we step into a new era in Chris's life, a lot will change very quickly. In March, there was a leaked email to his ex-flame Jackie, where Chris would announce his transformation into a tom girl. Yeah, that's the bit. The whole thing for just me saying that, and then he's a tom girl. He's a tom girl now. And this would also mark the beginning of Chris's full-on transition. Now, okay, I think it's if I could be real for a second, I know there's a lot of tomfoolery going on in this video so far, but listen, I think it's pretty easy to hurl these monikers at Chris, that he's this, that he's that, and throw labels on him. I mean, granted, I did it throughout this whole video for sure, absolutely. I'm not saying I'm not part of that, but I think it's. I mean, this is gonna sound wild, and this is. I think you could honestly make a case for Chris as an individual that there is a possibility that he was like bullied into thinking he's a woman. I'm not. I know this is going to be a touchy subject, but I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. But that's also not to discredit any thoughts and legitimate feelings he and eventually she will have and does have. Because on the flip side of that, I mean, given all we've known about Chris, and I mean, granted, I've been cutting out, I mean, a lot of things I just haven't been mentioning about Chris, but I think like observing her as much as I have throughout her life, which is, you know, a lot. I mean, clearly Chris is very effeminate, so it is possible that yes, Chris has been like suppressing his true and honest self this entire time. I don't even know why I'm bringing this up. This is literally just gonna get me canceled. I'm not saying, I guess I don't really have an opinion either way.
Sure is cold out here.
Was Chris trans or is Chris bullied? I mean, both can be true and neither can be at the same time. I don't know. Why don't you let me know in the comment section below? Comment a curious thinking face I'm gonna solve a case face emoji if you think Chris be capping, and if you think Chris full tran, throw a vamp emoji. It's the only way to settle this minutes-old debate. Either way, Chris starts flirting with the idea of gender swapping around March of 2011. Jackie even leaks Chris's new attire for the whole world to see. In that email correspondence between Chris and Jackie, Chris seemed quite different than he had prior to his break. I think you could make the case that he actually did some growing in that time, because he seemed to actually express real emotions and feelings about himself, and seemed to start figuring out how to communicate with the world. Granted, also he did beg Jackie to allow him to lose his virginity to her. So I mean, listen, at Chris's core, Chris will always be Chris. I mean, I guess that's just Chris, but I think you could dare to say that this transformation wasn't just a physical one. It seemed like he had, at this time, was going through a psychological transition as well.
Would you fuck me, 789 Chen? I'd fuck me.
Oh God, I just saw a video of Chris sticking his penis in the snow. Why did... God. We're getting off topic. He seemed to reflect on maybe not how his actions have affected other people, but how perhaps that his actions could have, if that makes sense. Maybe not grasping the actual individual incidents and how that could have affected a person, but starting to understand the concept that his actions can actually affect other people and that he's not the only person that exists in the world. And to nobody's surprise, Chris's parents did not embrace these new changes in Chris's appearance.
Daddy, chill.
What the hell is even that?
Chris's father would scream at him and call him the F word, which is not so dissimilar to my morning routine, except I play the role of Chris's father, and Chris is played by my mirror while I'm brushing my teeth. And his mother would tell him that she didn't raise a daughter. Just loving stuff. Minus the fact that she actually did raise a daughter, which was Chris's sister. Chris's father's cancer had returned, which I don't think I actually mentioned in the past, but he did have cancer in beta at one point, but it did return around this time in Chris's life. His father's health was deteriorating. Maybe Chris was scared of that. Maybe Chris was angry with his parents for, instilling all these homophobic views in him over the years. Being taught to judge and discriminate against people based off their existence. It felt like he was lashing out. Like he could see all the pieces, but didn't possess the brain power to be able to put them all together. Maybe he was angry with himself for finally understanding the landscape that stood beneath his feet, but was unfortunately born without the tools to fix it. I don't know. Maybe I feel bad for him again. Maybe I'm on my period. Jesus, what's happening to me? Why am I getting so emotional? April sees the last days of Encyclopedia Dramatica, so that's pretty exciting. Chris actually won the battle? I mean, by default, but he won the battle. Conversations between Jackie and Chris continue. Jackie spends a lot of time regaining Chris's trust, so much so that I almost forgot that she was a fake person. Just reminder, Jackie is not real. And in late June, Jackie invites Chris to go meet up with her in Washington for July 4th, but unfortunately, Chris spent all his money on video games.
You promised my son that you're going to give him free Robux.
So instead, Jackie asked Chris if he could make a three-part video of him riding around town on July 4th in his whip with a blow-up doll on some kind of pseudo date with an imaginary Jackie, who is at her core imaginary as well.
Okay, so Jackie and I, we're here at the McDonald's parking lot. We are sitting on top of our car. We just enjoy some apple dippers.
But it doesn't stop there. It never does. She then convinces Chris to make a 2-minute video of him humping the same blow-up doll he went on that pseudo date with.
Here we go.
And then tried to make Chris I don't know, do some kind of dumb YouTube prank where he goes into Walmart and throws a bunch of glitter in the air, which, I mean, was just mildly annoying at best, I guess.
Oh, the things I do for love. I forgot the glitter. Check your progress. Check my progress.
Why do I still have the thong on? You can't even see me from the waist down. This is ridiculous. And then, in an ode to quite possibly my favorite video on the internet of all time, Chris reenacts the cake farts video, which, okay, if you're familiar with it, don't stop. I see you. No, stop. Do not. That's not how, no, that's not what it seems like. I enjoy it for completely different reasons. I think it's funny. I laugh. It's the puckering with the icing. It makes me laugh, okay? If you haven't seen it, I'd recommend watching it at home, where no one can see you. Watch it while taking a shit. I honestly really wish I could. YouTube's so whack, I really wish I could play it for you. Maybe I'll do like a Pornhub version of this video and like just do completely uncensored with all the sex stuff in it. That might be a good idea. And after an 8-month hiatus from the internet completely, Chris decides to finally make his return to the World Wide Web.
Attention, citizens of the internet. I am making a return. Y'all should know me by now, if in case you don't. I am Christian Weston Chandler.
Does Chris turn over a new leaf with all this new information and introspection he gained in the last 8 months? No, absolutely not. He's just back to going to war with all the trolls.
I am ready to initiate negotiations and paybacks with the trolls and cyberbullies that have been defiling me within the past 5 years. In the past 4 years.
He starts doxing some of his previous trolls, Jack Thaddeus, Surfshack Tito, Thorg, Alec. Allegedly, honestly, I just figured that Chris wasn't actually doxing them. He probably just failed at that. I'm assuming. I didn't actually look into it.
And the first among the chopping block I would like to ensue, Surfshack Tito, or should I say, Don in Michigan. And I'm not saying that he's a total fat person, but he would make the really big Buddha look like a supermodel in comparison. In fact, with his looks, he could be a Rasta Buddha. And I show you only a fragment of the photograph.
Unfortunately, this revenge saga would actually come to an end pretty abruptly. It's a little dark. Chris's father passes away on September the 6th of this year due to heart failure. This would also mark another extended period of radio silence from Chris. Clearly, it seemed like Chris, he took his father's death very hard. Yeah, I mean, it's easy to point the finger at the parents and be like, well, yeah, I mean, you guys did not equip him for any of this. Clearly, his parents weren't equipped to handle a child with special needs. This is just getting sad. I'm fucking bumming myself out. Unfortunately for Chris, even though he was making his presence, hidden online, he couldn't help himself by making his presence very well known in IRL. Chris and his mother Barb would take a trip to the Game Place, a place where he had been banned from and also attempted murder. Twice. On October the 28th, 2011, Chris and Barb would head on down to the Game Place, the third time since Chris's permaban, his third visit since his permaban back in 2008. So Chris had heard that the ownership of the store was actually changing hands due to a unrelated assault allegation. Chris decided to go down with his mother and see if he could get himself reinstated at the Game Place with new ownership. Unfortunately, ownership of the store. Okay, actually, I think I may have misspoke earlier, and I'm not going back to refilm stuff. I already did those shirts dirty. Goddamn rugby shirt. That thing was tight as hell too. So, but Michael Snyder, if you remember, I think I did mention before that he was the owner of the store. He was actually just a manager at the time. So the owner of the store who was selling it sold it to the same Michael Snyder, the man who Chris had drunkenly hit with his motor vehicle. So what did they do when Chris showed up? They got into an epic argument. The whole thing would blow up out of control. It would spill out onto the street outside the store, and both Barb and Chris would take turns hitting Michael with their car, separately, during the same altercation. Why does this family only ever fight with cars? What is going on? Maybe Chris is a confirmed Decepticon.
Here's a hint.
This resulted in felony charges for both Chris and Barb, which somehow, beyond me, got bussed down to a misdemeanor in court. They both ended up having to do community service. They were both on probation, as well as they had to pay all of the court fees and medical bills of Michael Schneider, as well as both of them had to go through a series of psych evals. That's what cool guys like us called psychological evaluations in the biz. Not that I've ever had one or anything. I mean, I'm literally dressed like a psycho right now. So in just a few months' time, Barb and Chris managed to blow all of the life insurance money they collected off Bob's death and spent it all on legal defense money. That might be the most American thing I've ever heard. That honestly should be a country song. My papa died in October, so I did get drunk. Figured out the game place has new management because of sex allegations, so I drove there with my mom. Found out that Michael Schneider, who I tried to kill one time, was the new owner, so I tried to kill him again with my mom. All the money I got from my dad dying, I spent it on legal defenses. Now I'm broke and I have nothing again. Because America smokes cigarettes and my mom. Yeah, I'm a country star. What up? It hurts my voice. 2012, another year of silence for our subject. Just to put things in perspective, Chris spent a lot of time in 2012 literally just scared for his life and having to go to prison over the, attempted murder with him and his mom committed once again on the same fella with the car. I did actually jump ahead a bit before. Chris's court case hadn't actually gotten to a verdict into mid 2012. So he actually spent a good portion of 2012 just kind of scared for his life, scared at the possibility of having to spend the rest of his life in jail, getting butt stuffed. And I guess coming to terms with the mortality of his father, and I guess by extension the mortality of himself as well. Just kind of laying low for a good part of 2012. And not interacting with the trolls at all either. In Q1 2012, Chris would actually start getting really desperate with the thought of possibly spending the rest of his life in jail, a virgin. Listen, I've seen Chris naked enough, his supple behind. He would not be a virgin for long in jail. Granted, neither would I. I have a very feminine physique. So Chris, who had been vocally against prostitution in the past, except for that one time where he tried to convince a hooker to allow him to have sex with her for free, as it was losing his virginity was the only way the trolls would give him back his PSN account at the time. I skipped over it, but it was pretty funny. Oh yeah, and the other time where he actually posted in back pages offering his body as a male escort for $100. But except those two times, historically, Chris was against prostitution. Regardless, he bought a hooker, or her services rather, and lost his virginity to her. A major moment in Chris's life. He even made the hooker a nice gift basket as a thank you, which, to be honest with you, I'm not buying that he actually did that. And then on July 10th in 2012, the court case actually finally comes to a close where he gets probation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We covered it all before. And honestly, that's kind of really it for 2012. Just spent the year real low key. Actually, both 2012 and 2013, he spent legitimately the majority of his time complaining about how depressing his life was on Facebook. Now, you might be thinking it was real healthy of him to take some time to, not only grieve for his father, but also, deal with his court case and learn how to, find happiness in life. But no, that's not what happened. As soon as there was no trolls or murder case for him to occupy his time with, Chris starts lashing out at just seemingly anyone just trying to create controversy. Let's take Mary Lee Walsh, for example, who didn't want Chris accosting students. So he started lashing out at her again for no apparent reason, really. He even started lashing out at Megan Schroeder, for example, someone who managed to find this grain of good and truth that most people would look past, until he ceremoniously decided to burn that bridge and instead go to war with these faceless internet proxy people. It's kind of hard to convey on video, so I mean, take my word for it, but reading through Chris's Facebook messages around this time, it's actually quite sickening and pathetic. And I mean pathetic as in like, he's so narcissistic and self-involved at this point in his life. So disillusioned and detached from really any kind of social beings at this point. Like any interactions he's had in like the last few years outside of, let's say, his parents have really only ever been with people trying to tear him down, and still going on these like homophobic rants where he's openly identifying as this cross-dressing male lesbian, whatever that means, but still saying that being man-on-man gay is against God and those people should be like burned. Even at this point in his life, like he has gay like friends or associates, whatever you want to call them, but still openly hates gay men specifically. Honestly, his 2013 was just like, it was an NPC. He just wasted the entire year. This is going to be the real decline of Chris, kind of starting here as we move into 2014. This is where Chris will change her life forever. This is so fucking stupid. I can't actually find the reference picture. I think maybe I couldn't find like a good picture of what Chrischan looks like as a woman, so I just kind of amalgamated a couple different outfits put together and came up with whatever this monstrosity is. By the way, if I could just go on a bit of a rant for a second, this is ridiculous. I don't know. This can't be a real product. Hold on, let me go get it. It's just glue that you literally just wipe it on your mouth and eyes. FYI, like I literally, the tops of my eyelids are solidly glued to the bottom of my eyebrows. I am not looking forward to trying to take this off later. I did not plan that far ahead. It's just regular old glitter. It's piles of glitter in little containers. And they give you like this little tiny shovel. You just shovel the glitter onto the glue. This is like such a dumb system. I thought it was going to be like a full-on lipstick or something. Who made this? Is this for like costumes, or do like people actually use this? And there's no way to get it even. And once it's on, it's like, it's just there. It's glued to my face now. It's impervious to water. They're adding a new element in the next Pokemon game. It's going to be glitter, and then it just defeats water. There is nothing more in this world I hate than glitter. Well, okay, wait, hold on. Mannequins. And worms, actually. Bumper stickers. People that think they're smarter than I am. But again, not enough about me. I mean, it's just my video. It's my channel. I mean, whatever. If I want to talk about Chris. 2014. So Chris burned down his house. Apparently there's like a loose extension cord coming from the bathroom to plug in their coffee maker, which was in the hallway. Just in case if you forgot, the Chandler family were of course hoarders and just had so much trash everywhere that they physically couldn't get into their kitchen, where one would usually keep a coffee maker, you know, just good old hallway coffee. Nothing like a hot beverage to help you traverse your trash-infested home. So this cord, which ran from an outlet in their bathroom into the hallway, this extension cord, this cord had gotten frayed over them closing and opening the door on the cord. Over time, the cord just frayed. There was loose wires. Spark happened in the middle of the night and burnt down their house.
Greene County investigators are looking into the cause of a house fire early this morning. It started at about 3 o'clock this morning at a home on Branchland Court. That's in the southern part of the county. We're told the fire started in a first-floor bathroom but got quickly out of control and eventually shot through the roof. Everybody inside was able to get out safely, but one firefighter suffered minor injuries. The cause of the fire is still under investigation.
Chris, his mother, and most of their pets survived, except for one of their cats, who died due to smoke inhalation. So for the most part of this year, they actually lived in a different home, as their insurance had moved them temporarily into that home while they were A, investigating the claim on the house, and B, trying to figure out if it's even salvageable. This was a real, I was gonna say unfortunate event, but unfortunate. This was a real unfortunate event in Chris's life, but yeah, as I'm saying that out loud, this was completely, this is the Chandler's fault. Who else to blame than a Chan? But even his trolls admitted that, yeah, these would be trying times for Chris, and they actually decided to take a step back at this point from the trolling, and even went as far to send donations to, you know, help them get back on their feet. Tumultuous times. I wrote that in the script, but I forgot to say it, and I don't feel like re-recording. I like the alliteration of that. Aren't I pretty? Though it is somewhat hard to tell how much damage was actually incurred, there is reports that there were flames shooting through the roof of the house, and there was damage on the roof, which is, you know, I think about homes, major damage. I have glitter on my face. And also, many of the things that Chris would claim to have been damaged in the fire would later show up in videos years down the line with little to no fire damage whatsoever. Like a lot of stuff, to the point where you're like, was anything damaged? Like, I think there was one Lego set that got melted by the fire. That's about it. And they had a lot of stuff. I don't know if you remember, but that literally their stuff was the cause of the fire. And not too long after the fire, Chris would publicly blame Keurig, the maker of the coffee machine, for making a faulty device, causing everything he loved and owned to be burnt in a fire, even though the firefighter's report clearly stated it was the extension cord. Keep finding glitter in my mouth, and every time I stick my tongue out to get it off, I just end up taking more glitter into my mouth. There's like feminine sand creeping into my body. Leave a like if you think I'm beautiful. Interestingly enough, he also blamed the firefighters, claiming that they stole money out the wallet of his mother, which, you know, spoilers for, I guess, the final act of this video. He himself steals a lot of money from his mother. Not to mention, all of this could have easily been avoided by cleaning their home. Either way, 2014 really started off hot. Literally. He spent a lot of his time in 2018 becoming an eBay seller, except for the many periods where he would get banned for trying to sell his infantile drawings for tens of thousands of dollars. I guess I shouldn't complain. This is the first job he's ever had in his life. He was actually doing something productive this year, so I'm not going to be an asshole and steal that small, but, you know, step forward in the right direction from him. In 2014, Chris would also get a new sweetheart, so I decided, why don't we play a new game called The Wheel of Real. The game is simple. I am going to spin this wheel and find out whether or not the person Chris is dating is real. All right, fake. They did go to a gay pride rally together, and this part's like a little insane to me, because at this point, Chris does still identify as a man. It feels accepted by the LGBT community, as he currently still identifies as in his words, a lesbian man, but still does not fully accept gay men, but up until this point, does concede that they are people that exist. He would even go so far to give the word gay a completely new meaning in some kind of like fucked up mental gymnastics to basically still claim LGBT gang without having to claim the G. Autism aside, I mean, that just has to be, this is just mental illness. I mean, just wait, you'll see as we get towards the end of this thing. It's 100% mental illness. This is where you start seeing the cracks in Chris's matrix, so to speak. And days later, he would have to apologize for these anti-gay, pro-gay comments for fear of being rejected by the LGBT. Chris would get what he would call an unclit, a piercing which is a representative faux clitoris that he would get on his taint, despite not knowing where the clit is located. And if you ever needed more proof that a God exists and he is a righteous and true God, then look no further than Chris's piercing getting infected and him being forced to remove it, and then instead of letting it heal, he just decides to re-pierce it, and then it gets way more infected and gets way worse and has to remove it for good. I mean, of course, what other possible outcome could have happened in this situation? Some might view Chris's life as a Greek tragedy, but nah, it's definitely a comedy. Like, it couldn't have just gone right. Couldn't just one thing couldn't have just happened in his life that just like went to plan. The idea behind it, insane, sure, I understand, but it's so innocent. It's a piercing. It just couldn't have gone right. Come on. For someone who believes so heavily in God, Chris he never noticed any of the signs he had been given. If 2014 started off hot, then Chris certainly wanted it to end with a boom. A sonic boom. I hate myself. A cartoon show for children debuted that year called Sonic Boom.
Ooh, let me see. Oh wait, I can't read.
And it was of course based on one of Chris's favorite video game characters of all time, Sonic the Hedgehog. And again, in a sign from our one and true only God, who I love and share in his sense of humor. So Sega, or more realistically the animation studio that designed the show, decided to change the color of Sonic's arms from blue to tan.
I messed up and accidentally reversed the arm color. Sonic's arms were originally tan and then got turned blue in the Sonic Boom cartoon. I don't care enough to reshoot this part. I am also too lazy to film something explain this. So this is the best you will get. Laughter.
This was the worst thing to ever happen to Chris since the day his daddy had died. Or, judging by his reaction, possibly even worse. He would complain about this for basically an entire year on Facebook until he ultimately got banned for making death threats. And when the show got renewed for season 2, Chris could not handle it. Actions needed to be taken. Let's be honest, you need to be the change you want to see in the world. So I think, probably in the most logically sound thing Chris has ever done, Chris decided to pop up at his local GameStop where he had already been banned from. Truthfully, he had been banned from all GameStops within driving distance due to various Sonic arm-related protests. But that did not deter Chris from doing what needed to be done. His mission? Go to his local GameStop, enter it covertly, and then color in the arms back to blue of all the Sonic Boom merchandise. I mean, makes sense to me. But Cucumber Feet, he's already been banned. How will he enter? He needs a disguise. Smart. Thank you for asking. Purple My Little Pony sunglasses made for children? Perfect. No one will recognize him. Naturally, he gets caught instantly and gets asked to leave. On his way out, I get to insert one of my favorite Chrischan videos of all time. Some candid cameraman in the store took a video of Chris being asked to leave, or right after being asked to leave by the GameStop employee, where Chris then replies, "Don't call anybody," which I'm assuming is in reference to either police or security perhaps, and then proceeds to spray said employee in the face with a pink can of mace. I thought I was gonna have something witty to say at the end of that, but yeah, that's it.
Don't call anybody.
And that was the bar too. And that was the bar too.
Chris would be arrested immediately the same day. This took place on December the 26th, and then he would post bail just 2 days later. 2015, a pretty uneventful year. A lot of it revolved around the fallout from the event that took place on December the 26th, the year prior in the GameStop. He would have 5 postponed court dates, so this whole case just really dragged on for most of the year. Finally being found guilty on October the 15th of 2015, he would be ordered to pay a fine of $541 as well as a 180-day suspended sentence. That means if anywhere within that 180-day period he is essentially caught for doing any other crime, he would have to go straight to jail. 2015, Chris would reveal a band would commission Chris to create the artwork for one of their albums, this band being L'Eclipse New, a noise band, obviously due to YouTube's copyright system involving music. I am unable to play any of their music here, but I will do you one better. I will improve their songs by doing my own rendition of it. That's not even me making fun of them. That's pretty much what their music sounds like. They consider themselves a noise band, which is it's an apt description. In spring of 2015, Chris would unfortunately not transition into a better person, but into a woman. That is not a woman joke. That is not a trans joke, but that is a joke about an individual who is so obsessed with Pokemon, but completely unwilling to evolve. On April 20th of that year, she'd announced that she'd prefer to use female pronouns. And regardless of how I feel about Chris, moving forward, I will be using the she pronouns. If I forget, I'm sorry, this is all new to me. And then on the 21st, Chris would openly advocate for gay marriage rights on Facebook, seemingly ending his feud with homosexuality.
Sonic, I'm no longer racist nor sexist.
Finally, I have done it. I've defeated racism and sexism for good. Now I can relax once more.
Wait, hold on. When did gay marriage become legal in the US? Damn, bro, 2015? That seems kind of fucked up. In October of 2015, Chris would officially apologize for all of his previous statements around homosexuality, specifically gay men. Also, Chris would try his hand at becoming an inventor, claiming that stuffing a bra full of vibrators would naturally enlarge his breasts.
I've got to say, I think this is a liability nightmare. You don't have any claims that you can back up, so I'm out.
I'll give you $3 for 100% of your company. My guess, it was the poor diet. And that's about it. The rest of 2015, he pretty much just spent it complaining about Sonic's arms being, I don't even remember which color they're supposed to be. Who cares? He complained about that on Facebook. And then also became transnational, adopting a southern accent for no reason whatsoever. Chris, a public figure that clearly never had one up until this point.
Hello to all my lucky lady fans. Yes, I just got out of the shower. I feel clean again. Well, it gets lonely around here in my bedroom. I feel like I might want to date some of y'all. Maybe we get to know each other, you know? Have a pleasant dinner, or just enjoy a conversation over a cup of coffee. See where things go, see how we feel around each other. Yeah, maybe I'll eventually find my sweetheart amongst y'all. See where things go, you know. I'm open to all kinds of women, 'cause you got the whole package in one. The female soul, the body that can go any way you desire. My ladies. Straight, bisexual, lesbian. I'll take y'all on. 'Cause I'm an overlooked treasure that should not be ignored or overlooked any longer. So I think we should start getting to know each other, my loyal lady fans. And of course, you know who I'm talking to. Y'all. So just contact me at the email address I provide underneath this video, and we'll set up a lovely date just between the two of us. One weekend, y'all can visit, maybe get a hotel room, y'all, for us to spend a lovely evening together in or something. Or maybe we'll swing by here. Well, get to know me, talk to me, see whether we click or not. Lovely, lovely times and memories to be shared. And even if things don't work out for the long run, you'll still get a new friend in me anyway.
And I pinky promise on that. Thank y'all for your attention and whatnot.
2016, the start of probably the most cleverly named saga in Chris's life, the Fanachichu saga. I just like the name of that. It's kind of cute. So this would kick off a long-standing saga in Chris's, or actually the whole Chandler's household, as Discovery Bank would sue Barb pretty early on in the year for $5,000 for unpaid debts. This would also mark the start of another major component of this saga, with Chris creating a series of videos begging her fans for money, you know, instead of actually getting a job.
So, yeah, got some financial problems coming up and about right now, so, I mean, y'all don't have to buy anything. Donations, with every person being able to donate at least a dollar.
But don't worry, she would start small. Instead of begging for money right away, she would start by, you know, begging for a PlayStation 4. Allegedly, she would claim that a fan actually had purchased her a PlayStation 4 for her birthday, but all evidence really kind of just points to her actually purchasing it for herself. Chris would start her foray into the streaming sphere, starting off by streaming the game Destiny for her first stream, but forgetting to turn on the mic for the entire stream and not noticing. She even announced the formation of Shoutout Entertainment of America.
Chandler, reporting live once again. I have an important announcement today. Yeah, with the recent additions to my workload, I feared I have been spreading myself too thin, and the stresses of life, it really does bother me. It gives me great pleasure to announce the launch of Shoutout Entertainment of America.
A company that would never exist, which would have somehow helped her sell merch. No one actually got the business plan on that. Later in the year, Barb gets sued by Capital One, also for unpaid debts, and she would end up losing that court case and would be ordered to pay $16,000 in restitutions, as well as the city would also sue both Chris and Barb for not getting a license for their dog. I know that sounds weird, but it does make sense if you look into it. It's not worth explaining. Chris would also start begging her fans to pay for her $115,000 mortgage at this time.
Finances. Mortgage payments. We really could use some more money around here, because as quickly as it comes in, it goes out. Because we gotta pay bills and we gotta get food around here. We gotta keep ourselves fed and everything. Please help us. I don't know. Anyway, that's about it for right now. Just under here, information how to directly donate to my mom. I wish Cole Smithy would help us, but he's in New York being greedy, throwing his money away into the fire when he could be sharing it with his own mother to help pay him back, to help pay her back for putting him to the schools, the college, and a brand new car that was new in about 1980 or so. And Alan Carroll could help me out because I'm still their half-sibling. And with our late father being in the memory, he comes visit me in my dreams nearly every night.
Feeling nostalgic around this time, Chris would start recreating some of her more famous videos online to re-humiliate herself as a woman, I guess. This would include videos of her humping sex dolls once again. Chris would also revive her short-lived career as an unsuccessful prostitute under the pseudonym Stephanie Buttcakes. Of course, this would all come out in a leaked video of her asking straight lesbian and bi women to have sex with her for $100 and a cuddle for $50.
Hello, ladies. How'd you like to spend a little quality time with this sexy bod, huh? These sexy breasts. And the thing that I was wrongfully born with down there. Ooh. Good quality time can have it one way, or we can play it the lesbian way. So, for $50, we could do a cuddle. For $100, we could do pretty much near anything. I don't do anal, though. I don't do anal. But we'll do anything else. We can even romp with toys. And I have lots of hidden potential. So send an email. Give me a response. Tell me you want a little lovely, sexy evening with Miss Stephanie Buscakes. Advice to the email only. Nobody with STDs, and only women of any orientation need apply. Well, straight, lesbian, and bi. Oh, y'all got the pussy? I'm very happy to work with a little bit of that. I meant to show up a booty. Did booty look good enough for you? So, respond now.
Come on, Chris. I mean, really? If you're gonna go full sex for $100, a cuddle has to be $1. I mean, you could have way lower on the cuddle. That's just bad business practices. Chris then releases one of her weirdest videos to date, just openly sharing that she stores her semen samples in her freezer right next to the pizza pockets.
Oh yeah, here's the sample I put out today. I labeled it carefully. You can tell it's not as frozen yet compared to the older samples. Yeah. That was like less than a year ago.
And as Chrischan would decide to transition, she also thought it would be fit to legally change her name once again to Christine Weston Chandler. 2016, really, this is where things kind of transition into the final stages of Chris's life. Things just get way more depraved and disgusting and dark and deranged from here. So listen, if you're like a big scaredy poo, fair warning, stop watching. But I mean, I feel like if you've been watching this far, you're okay with all my harsh language. And if you've been enjoying it so far, I would highly recommend sticking around for the rest of this ride now, because things are just about to get way more insane. Exponentially more insane, that's probably a better way of putting it. So Chris, for several months in 2016, had been going through self-administered subliminal frequency hypnosis, which sounds fancy, but in actuality, what it really means is that she just put on a playlist of binaural beats on YouTube and did some image training trying to grow her female genitalia, like Goku doing training in the hyper-retarded time chamber.
Frieza! かっこよくってなんだ? 厳しすぎるってことですよ。あんがとな。このバカめ。
Binaural beats, if you're unfamiliar, is it's an internet creepypasta thing that's supposed to trick 13-year-olds into thinking they can get high on YouTube videos, it's just untrue. Trust me, I tried. But being the psycho I was at 15, I was just smoking weed and snorting speed pills in my bedroom while I put on binaural beats because I hated my life and I just wanted to escape and numb everything. Don't do drugs, kids. It doesn't work out. But essentially what it is you put headphones in. Each headphone is playing a slightly different frequency at the same time. So then your brain does some mental math and perceives a third frequency that's playing in harmony with the other two. It's not all that crazy. This is supposed to be helpful as a sleep aid or helping you to get into states of meditation or even out-of-body experience, but it's fake. It's snake oil. Don't buy into it. It's all BS. It does nothing. Trust me. It's an illusion that, frankly, is just uninteresting. But back to Chris. She full-on believed that these binaural beat sessions that she was doing were not only enlarging her breasts, but also growing a vagina inside of her taint. And then in July, she started to begin to grow impatient with the process, feeling that the vagina was coming to the surface of her taint. So she took a knife to her taint and tried to open up her taint to free her vagina. I've seen the pictures. She made an incision. She definitely made an incision. Clearly, I'm not going to be able to show it here. This is so messed up on so many goddamn levels. I mean, the level of psychosis one has to be in to go through with this. I mean, this is what I mean by things really start to get dark and depraved and kind of actually just stop being funny. So there's that. But some people find it funny. I don't know what are you gonna do. And this isn't even one of the events that she'd be forced into by heavy trolling, which will come up in the near future. This was all her. And as a matter of fact, she even made it a semi-public announcement, not to the general public, but kind of to her inner circle of trusted internet friends, which were probably some trolls, but also a lot of like these white knights that got behind Chris, you know, because it's pretty clear the level of bullying she had gone through at this point. So there was a lot of people white knighting for her, but really what was happening, they just ended up enabling a lot of her psychoses. But even them, when she introduced it to them, the general response was, you need to go seek medical attention immediately. 2017 sees 2016's financial crisis bleed over into it. Things just get a lot more dire from here. Barb's bank account goes into the red. Chris is forced to sell her Sonichu totem. I mean, look at this thing. It looks like an ode to an aborted sonic fetus.
Hello everybody, this is Christine Chandler coming to you live from home once again with a very new exclusive offer. Definitely for a limited time, so you want to rush to buy this before April 30th, the Sonic totem pole I made in our class so many years ago.
It's completely appalling, yet some psychopath decided to buy it on eBay for $1,500. But in classic Chris fashion, instead of using that money to pay off the debt, she would spend $600 on a gold necklace for Barb and then $700 on toys for herself. And then also did not ship the totem, with the customer who tried to purchase it starting a claim with PayPal for never receiving the product, and then PayPal decided to retrieve the money back from Chris, overdrafting the account $1,500. Chris would get into another relationship this year with a real human girl, but it turned out to be a troll. Jessica Quinn would break up with Chris about a month later, breaking Chris's little heart.
Jessica, I'm so sorry. I don't want to lose you.
A new troll group would form in the back half of this year called the Idea Guys, which would start the Idea Guy saga, which would last for years to come. This also saw progression of Chris's descent into madness. I'm just going to read you this quote from Wikipedia.com just so you can get a temperature check on Chris's mental state. Under the influence of the Idea Guys, Chris slides further into delusion over hyperdementia Neptunia. Chris describes how she had been possessed by Uzume Teneboshi, a video game goddess, after Magi-chan suggested that her Sega Dreamcast console had a great power residing within it, prompting Chris to focus her psychic powers onto it, drawing the goddess into her body. She goes on to detail how she is defending both Quickville and Neptunia's world of game industry by using Uzume's powers and her army of Autobots and Sonichu/Rosachus. She also mentions that she needed multiple characters to guard her at her Pokemon League club, and that one of those figments of her imagination tried to interact with one of her friends. Chris concludes with an urgent plea to her followers to help her power up Neptunia goddesses by playing the games, watching the anime, or sending positive vibes about them. I know I just blasted a lot of lore your way, so I'm just gonna try and break down some of this for you because I know this could seem very confusing. Honestly, it's confusing to me too, but I'm gonna try and break it down as simply as possible. So under the influence of the Idea Guys, that's the group, right? Chris slides further into delusion over hyperdementia Neptunia, that being a series of video games. They're JRPG games where within the games, The world of the game is called game industry, an obvious pun on the gaming industry. And then like, I don't know, like there's like 4 regions within the world, each being represented by a different gaming console. One of them being the Sega Dreamcast. Uzume Tonobushi is a goddess within the game. So Chris literally believes that her body is being possessed by the spirit of a video game character. This is not like a joke, this is real. After Magi-chan suggests that her Sega Dreamcast console has a great power residing within it, Magi-chan being one of the characters that she created in the Shoutout comic series. So already she's like merging her own reality with this video game's reality with a reality she created, the whole Shoutout series, which prompts Chris to focus her psychic powers onto drawing it out and drawing the goddess into her body. She then goes on to detail how she is defending both Quickville, that's the made-up world that she created as a kind of blanket to defend herself and her ego from the world and the internet, I guess, and Neptunia's world, game industry, that's the world of the video game Neptunia, whatever, hyperdimension, whatever. All this by using Uzumi's powers that she obtained by drawing out the fake powers from within her real-world Sega Dreamcast after being told this by her imaginary character that she created in her Shoutout series, as well as an army of Autobots, Sonachus, and Rosachus. Yeah. She also mentions that she needed multiple characters to guard her at her Pokemon League club. So this was, I believe it was like an event in the real world that she would be attending, or maybe it was an online video game event for Pokemon. Whatever it was, she legitimately felt like her life would be threatened, or at least Uzumi's life, which was currently inhabiting her body. I get confused as to who's inhabiting, or at least who Chris thinks is inhabiting her body at this point. And at the event, those figments of her imagination tried to interact with one of her real world friends. So again, the people, or the Uzumi, this video game character that she thought was inhabiting her body, was the one speaking with her friends in the real world, and they were like, what is going on right now? This seems insane. Chris concludes with an urgent plea to her followers to help her power up Neptunia goddesses by playing video games, watching the anime, or sending positive vibes about them. I mean, Lord, give me strength. I don't know how I'm gonna find the strength to power through this final act. As I mentioned multiple times, things are only gonna get darker from here. Oh, okay, lost my ear. I have reached my final form. Sonic Danshu. I wish I'd pre-written a better name. I also wish I didn't literally paint my legs too, because it's just I've destroyed my chair. Why do I keep doing my costumes from the waist down? It makes no goddamn. I have reached peak uncomfortableness. Let's just get this gosh darn thing over with. As we move into Act 5, this is what's known as the Goddess Era. If I could be serious for a moment, oh god. If I could be serious for a moment, this is where things truly get sad. I'm warning you now, I'm about to dive into the deep end and take laps around this fecal-filled shit pool that is Chris's brain. Listen, I've said this time and time again that you're gonna feel bad for Chris, especially in this act, but you know, like a shit phoenix rising from some frayed toilet paper ashes, he will just be reborn back into disdain by the end of this thing. All right, enough being serious. Let's get back to having fun with this video. Chris starts off 2018 by joining Antifa, not only destroying his Christmas tree, but also a picture of Hollywood Hulk Hogan, all in an attempt to ward off Nazis.
You friggin' Nazis! I'm gonna kick you all out of Equestria! Your definition of pure is so frickin' nihilistic. You're so frickin' dumbass. I'll kick you out of Equestria. What do you think of that now, you frickin' Nazis? Heed my warning! You get out of Equestria, you frickin' Nazis! Who's a fat ass now, Hulkster? My favorite wrestler is Chris Benoit! My brothers, sisters, and I of Antifa, we will assure you frickin' Nazis, get the hell out of Equestria now!
And given all I've seen about Antifa members, I would assume their backstories are not that dissimilar. There's a point in this story I had kind of glossed over before, mainly because it was too complex. Also, I've been talking for a really long time. Chris, some years back, would get trolled by this duo called the Idea Guys, which I briefly mentioned at the end of 2017. This trolling, though, was... It was honestly, it brought like a new level to the game when it comes to trolling Chris. They were a lot more, sinister. The things they had planned out for Chris were truly abhorrent. Again, if I could actually be serious for a moment here, I guess, like the Idea Guys played a either large part or the defining role in the downfall of Chris's mental state. They mentally and emotionally manipulated Chris, essentially just completely altering Chris's perception of reality and severing whatever tether would tie a sane person to society. Chris obviously has a lot of cognitive issues and a lot of psychological issues as well. Some diagnosed, some theoretical. Autism is definitely one of the ones that is medically proven. Also, gender dysphoria. I'm sorry if there's any woke people that somehow managed to still be watching this video, but it is a disorder. It's a psychological disorder. I mean, just medically speaking here. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with trans people or it doesn't make you people or whatever. I don't really care. That's not to devalue your humanity or anything. I'm just saying it is okay, moving on. Those two are definitely two that are confirmed for Chris. There are some unconfirmed ones, such as... Yeah, I'm not going to pretend like I know medical stuff, so I'm just going to read off my thing for a second, if you don't mind. Maladaptive daydreaming would be one of them, also called excessive daydreaming. It's when an individual experiences excessive daydreaming that interferes with daily life. It is a proposed diagnosis of a disordered form of dissociative absorption associated with excessive fantasy that is not recognized by any major medical or psychological criteria. Maladaptive daydreaming can result in distress, can replace human interaction, and may interfere with normal functioning such as social life or work. Maladaptive daydreaming is not a widely recognized diagnosis and is not found in any major diagnostic manuals of psychiatric or medicine. There's also Peter Pan syndrome, which is a metaphor. It's based on the concept of not growing up and being trapped in childhood. It is not a recognized mental health illness. You thought I was done? No, there's more. We have schizotypal personality disorder, or STPD, also known as schizotypal disorder. Schizotypal. Schizotypal. I'm buying a horse, just name it Schizotypal. I can't even goddamn say it.
Schizotypal.
Why would the AKA just be the same thing it's already called? This is stupid. I already hate this thing. It's a mental and behavioral disorder. The DSM classification describes the disorder specifically as a personality disorder characterized by thought disorder, paranoia, a characteristic form of social anxiety, derealization, transient psychosis, and unconventional beliefs. People with this disorder feel pronounced discomfort in forming and maintaining social connections with other people. Fair enough. Primarily due to the belief that other people harbor negative thoughts and views about them. Okay. Peculiar speech mannerisms and social unexpected modes of dress, also characteristics. Okay. Schizotypal. People may react oddly in conversations, not respond, or talk to themselves. Okay. They frequently interpret situations as being strange or having unusual meaning for them. Paranormal or superstitious beliefs are common. Schizotypal people usually disagree with the suggestion their thoughts and behaviors are disorder and seek medical attention for depression or anxiety instead. Listen, these are all fan speculation, and I'm a moron, so I mean, I can't weigh in either way. What I can say is that Chris's parents were clearly enablers and harbored his ability to never really truly develop as a human adult human. I mean, who am I to judge? Chris never really learned how to socialize. She barely ever left her room. And when her father passed away in 2011, I mean, everything got exponentially worse. And she really just kind of regressed into the worst parts of herself.
Black and Jewish behind this person. This individual right here. I'm black and Jewish.
A few minutes later.
I personally wish to extend my apologies, my most sincere apologies to every single Jewish individual in this world and everywhere else for saying all the hurtful things I had said.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
And also I extend the same apologies to the black people. I never really had any offense against black people, mind you. I'm a fan of Michael Jackson. I'm a fan of Louis Armstrong. I was a fan of Red Fox. I was a fan of the guy who played George Sanford. George Jefferson. I like black.
She became more closed off and started to slip deeper into her delusions. And one of those delusions being the fake town she developed inside of her head, Quickville, a place for her and all of her copyright infringing characters to exist in together in harmony, where she was safe from the world. That is, you know, the world is a scary and mean and cruel and ugly place, but it's the only thing that's real, because it's not just that. It's more than just that. It is all those things, but it's those things that build the foundation for you to be able to feel anything true and honest and good. Without evil, there's no good. Without sadness, there's no happiness. Without fear, there's no courage. You could tell yourself that you're digging a hole for protection, you know, like a rabbit burrowing into the ground to ward off the wolves at night, but ultimately you're still digging a hole. Granted, I mean, we all end up in a hole at the end of the day, so what are you gonna do? Screw it, I'm on Team Chris. Let's get this metaverse going, baby! The sicker Chris got, the more she really truly started to believe that this town she invented was real, even running for and winning a mayoral campaign.
Alright, we're coming to you live from Quickville today. We're over at the Quickville Pavilion. The Hedgehog Boys and Master Chrischan Mayor, they perform here every Friday night, and it draws a crowd. It's very good, you know. This gets me some business.
Enter the idea guys. Two guys that were able to prey on Chris's vulnerabilities and his desire for escapism and protection. Desperate for validation and vulnerable to ideologies, Chris was just ripe for the picking. It started off as, I don't know, I guess you could say like an experiment from the idea guys to test the levels of Chris's gullibility. Gullibility? Yeah. It would begin with the idea guys convincing Chris that they had physically infiltrated Quickville, just giving Chris further proof that it existed, essentially. They'd craft this elaborate tale and then spoon feed it to Chris with, using hyper Neptunia, Hyperdimension Neptunia, that Japanese video game franchise, using the lore of that. They doctor images, audio clips, video clips, inserting themselves into it, brainwashing Chris into these ideas, even going as far as to pose and cosplay as Chris's friends, feeding these ideas to her. And if you remember anything about Chris and essentially all of his girlfriends, or I guess any real trolls, Chris has a real hard time discerning through people's voices who they are. Like, he has no audio recognition of like anyone, or even facial recognition for that matter. This whole saga was sick and complicated, but given Chris's fragile mental state at this time, she just fell victim into this parasitic relationship with these two truly evil trolls. Of course, things would continue to get darker from here. They would convince Chris that Quickville had been infiltrated by Nazis and overrun by literal Nazis from 1942, not like, you don't agree with me, you're a Nazi. Also, they managed to convince Chris that she is now in a legally binding polyamorous marriage with two imaginary friends. And one of the most notable things they managed to do was to convince Chris that not only was she a trans lesbian, but also gay. That's right, after all these years of Chris denouncing man-on-man the gay, she finally came out as well, bi, so there's that, I guess. And by come out, I mean was literally tricked into it by these two demons. Side note, this would actually lead to a pretty hilarious moment in 2018 where she would go to this convention and, being that she had some level of internet fame for, so many years at this point, there's a lot of male fans that wanted to take pictures with her, and a fresh, openly bi Chris would end up getting kicked out of the convention for sexually harassing her male fans when they wanted to take photos with her.
I'll come back. I know how to get them off. You have to offer him money.
But let's get back to the darkness. Chris would start to actually believe that she was a god, specifically calling herself the CPU Blue Heart Goddess, which is somehow related to that Japanese Dementia Neptunia game, but I'm not gonna get into it. And even after the idea guys had finally managed to be ousted from Chris's life completely, the damage had already been done. The hooks were too deep into Chris at this point, and it was just a matter of time before her entire world just imploded on itself. She would start to believe in and openly discuss a dimensional merge. You see, she believed that we exist in dimension 1218, and then Quickville and Sonichu and other fictional characters all lived in dimension C-197, and these two dimensions were eventually going to merge into each other, essentially creating one reality where fictional characters such as Sonic or Pikachu or the Subway Jared would coexist with children and other people too. Like, have you ever met someone that's like, how could I put this? That's like really into conspiracy theories? Have you ever met someone schizophrenic? That's honestly how the energy that was coming off of Chris at this point. Like, she truly believed that our dimension and cartoon dimension would end up merging into each other, and we'd all live together in some kind of harmony.
The dimensional merge. Yes, this dimension right here, 1218, is going to be merged with our sister dimension, C-197, where most of our superheroes, supervillains, OCs, and what have you, and other characters have been existing and coexisting. Yep. Everybody who survives this will get to meet their favorite superheroes among others and everything. But yes, those are going to survive and those are not going to survive. But fortunately should be most of the Earth population. And those that I do care about are going to survive. But among which that won't survive, going to be some of the politicians. Pardon me, my head's got the thing, the psychic link, and I get the headaches now and then. And with the ancient prophecy of C-197 and everything that I am literally half Sonichu, and I soon will be able to transform into my Sonichu form. Be able to run at max speeds, thunder attacks, psychic attacks, everything.
So the stage is set. Dimensional merge has officially been marked in the character January 1st, 2019. January 1st, 2019. Obviously, the merge just didn't happen. Spoilers! But what's most troubling about this was Chris's reaction to the merge not happening. She made an announcement stating that because of some deity-level red tape, it's been delayed, but it will happen soon enough. But don't make a big deal about it until I have more and further information about it. The need for further information is quite troubling here because it indicates that even with the idea guys gone, or at least now that the idea guys are gone, let's say, the ideas that they had implanted in her are obviously still there and still fermenting, but she is now without any guidance at all, which would leave her open to new vulnerabilities, which new trolls would swing in and take advantage of, effectively continuing the work that the idea guys had started. She goes on this very long-winded rant, essentially about how heroes and villains are getting ready for this big war, and it's inevitable, it's happening, and there's nothing we can do to stop it, and you need to start picking sides. She also implores her fans to start sending positive vibes directly to their favorite fictional characters to help them gain momentum and build energy to help them pass through this dimensional merge and begin to exist in our reality.
Well, we do have a good number of believers in DLCs, CPUs, deities, and everyone between our sister dimension of C-197 and their surrounding dimensions, and right here, dimension 1218. We could do a whole lot better in the believers.
Including Jesus, who she would state she is friends with because, of course, she is now a goddess herself.
Even Jesus Christ himself came to me earlier today told me so. Asked me to relay the message. Everybody, believe in the OCs. And everybody, the Dimension Merge is happening. Believe in the OCs. Believe in your OCs. Believe in yourself as an OC. Believe in Jesus Christ, Emmanuel. Who Emmanuel, by the way? God is a woman. And I have personally met them face to face. If you don't believe me in that, I've literally touched Jesus' hands. I cry every time I feel that scar in his hand from the cross when he did that, but still. Anyway, as a guy as myself, I am unable to worship Jesus or any of the other deities, but I am friends with Jesus and all the other deities, including CPUs, so the least I could do is support them and be a friend. That's what I do to the best of my abilities. Everywhere. My soul, my brain, my body. Literally working round the clock. Everywhere.
Around this time, she would also demonstrate her telekinetic abilities, or what most people would call gravity. The financial crisis is still going on too, if you forgot about that. She was sued several times over the course of 2018 and 19, losing just about every case, owing thousands to various different collection agencies. Her and her mother would start posting videos online, begging for money through a Patreon they had set up.
Hey everybody, got a little situation here. Less than an eighth full of gas in our one tangible vehicle here, and in pocket money only, as well as a little bit of petty cash. And I'm stopped, by the way. I'm in the yard at home. Anyway, I need like $20 for gas, please. Please help me out. Really need it so we can use this van before our money, so we can use this van some more before our money comes in by next week. It's like next Wednesday or Thursday. Thank you.
And as per usual, Chris would just end up spending the money on more toys. Like, it got so bad at one point, fans would be sending her cards, like gift cards, to buy groceries, specifically for grocery stores, so she wouldn't spend the money on ridiculous nonsense for children. And yes, I know the irony of that statement, as I am dressed like this. And that added stress would continue to push Chris off a psychological cliff. She actually believed that Magi-chan, one of her dumb comic book characters, had actually managed to make it through the dimensional merge. What? Are you saying that she hallucinated? So you see, Magi-chan's body didn't manage to make it through the dimensional merge, but her spirit did. So she possessed a sock. Yes, a sock puppet was possessed by the spirit of one of her fictional characters. But don't worry, if you thought that was weird, it actually gets much weirder. So you see, Magi-chan's spirit would end up leaving the sock puppet and then getting absorbed by Chrischan herself, and then Chrischan's spirit would leave her body and then go to Los Angeles. It's all very confusing.
Good day, everyone. It is I, Magi-chan Sonichu. I have taken possession of Christine's body, as we have swapped bodies. Her soul is in my body, as you can see right behind me, on the opposite side of the dimension curtain. I am recording this today, as definitely backed up by Christine's second phone. It's August the 15th. Which, on that note, should be the day I have uploaded this video, originally, long before I made it public. You could definitely tell that it is I as opposed to Christine, not only in the vocal tones, but also my behavioral patterns. The dimension merge continues to progress. An event will happen very soon where my body fully comes into this 1218 dimension. And I will be swapped back with Christine, and everything will definitely further progress from there. It is quite different being in a human body as opposed to my science body. Especially in the brain. My brain works a lot better. This brain, it needs work. But I am working on it. I am improving. Well, that aside anyway, still working on it. She's got power. I'm helping her find it. And she's borrowing my power too. She'll be making the journey very soon to progress everything there is. We will all be able to see and coexist with each other very soon. At least at this point, my wisdom, intuition, other thoughts are able to be shared in this realm. So take that as you will. Be good. Be safe. Be kind and take care of each other.
Almost there, folks. 2020. And Chris would start the year off right, going to war with one of her local card shops that had previously banned her, stating that the ban was not inclusive. Yes, you guessed it right. Did Chris just realize that not only can she now play the autism card, but she can also play the trans card. It's uninclusive, folks! Why did Chris want back in so badly, you might be asking yourself? Because Chris wanted to learn how to play Dungeons and Dragons. Chris got it in her brain that the knowledge of Dungeons and Dragons would somehow help her complete the dimensional merge. On a completely unrelated note, that same card shop would receive an anonymous letter that same month, which contained a picture of an evil glare. Chris would reveal her character sheet for Dungeons and Dragons she had made. Fans noted several flaws with Chris's character. It was a completely broken character. She had abilities that didn't exist in Dungeons and Dragons, such as mega evolving from a Pokemon, nonsensical speed, a single round of D&D lasts 6 seconds in game, only has 2 hit dice, where a level 23 character would be expected to have a cumulative 23 hit dice, prioritizing fluff about the character over skills, stats, or feats, an attempt to homebrew a custom race, Sonichu, insufficient equipment, weapons, or money, her only listed starting equipment befitting a level 1 character, core abilities such as dexterity, constitution, transformation abilities also non-existent in normal, an average player moves 30 feet in that time, could bump that to plus 21 or more, making even difficult tasks which usually require a roll of at least
starting at level 23, a level higher than god characters, which
alternatively she may have meant a particular type of wand, which means she did so without understanding the area. Honestly, the complaints just go on and on and on about this D&D character. Look it up for yourself if you're interested. There is so much more, and I'm getting myself into waters where I know nothing about Dungeons and Dragons. So anything I said there that may have been wrong, I don't know what you want me to tell you. I was literally reading Chinese. I was meandering my way through Mandarin. March 12, 2020. Let's get back to it. Oh wait, the pandy hits everyone on the entire planet. God dang it. Everything went to hell for basically everyone. I don't need to really explain that. And this would walk Chris one step further into insanity. After only a couple weeks of lockdown, Chris would end up swapping bodies with Sonichu, completely forgetting about the whole Magichan situation, which clearly was just a coping method. Chris really wanted to go to this flamboyant pony convention and couldn't because, well, I mean, nobody could go at the time. So this, I guess, was her way of dealing with that depression. Swapping bodies with an imaginary character. Okay. Whatever happened to just, like, you know, overindulging in alcohol or binge eating? Call me old-fashioned. Chris continues to take the rest of the year to just completely dilute or... Chris would take the rest of the year to just completely dilute herself from reality and just separate herself from anything that could possibly still ground her. The financial crisis would continue as well, racking up and losing another 2 lawsuits, totaling around 11 lost lawsuits at this point, and now also totaling the damages to $4,000. And let's play a little game of multiple choice. When stimulus checks rolled into America, what do you think Chris spent it on? A, repaying her debts, or B, an iPad? 2021, Chris's final year to live as a free, sovereign individual. If you had a month left to live, do you know what you would do? Chris would meet Larry Vaughn in January 2021, a fourth quarter troll that would drive Chris to the brink of her insanity, promoting her to send bizarre and sexual Twitter DMs to people. She also would announce that she had a plan to take a taser that she had purchased and use it to electrify a crystal, which would help open a portal and merge dimensions between ours and the fictional. I literally mean those fake hippie crystals that contain imaginary energy. If you had a month left to live, do you know what you would do? And Chris at this time would actually spend quite a bit experimenting with electricity and crystals, taking $165 of her stimulus check right out of your pockets and spending it on a subscription to crystals. That's right, they even have subscription services for valueless rocks. She's conducting these experiments like some kind of trans Jekyll and Hyde, or I guess Jackie and Hyde. Chris runs up in the comment section of a YouTube video where she becomes imaginary friends with real mass shooter Andrew Blaze, mentions that she, Blaze, and Andy Warhol are all interdimensionally awakened. And I quote, "Andrew and I are 2 examples of fully interdimensionally awakened individuals. Also to note, Andy Warhol as well. Back in his days here, he was an interdimensionally awakened individual, but he did not fully comprehend his situation and his abilities at the time. He remained clear-minded and focus lacking, yet he did know from his subconscious and unconscious that had seeped into his conscious and into his words and actions that have foreshadowed and foreseen the number of events here since as early as the year I was born in this body in 1982, end quote. If you had a month left to live, do you know what you would do? In June 2021, Chris meets a girl and starts a real romantic relationship with her. And in July, Chris opens up to her friend online named Null about having a relationship with a new, older, disabled girlfriend. And on July 28th, during a leaked phone call with Isabella Loretta Jank, Chris would reveal the identity of said girlfriend. So there's no other way to really say this, I suppose. Chris was in a relationship with his mother. He was having sex with his 79-year-old mother, who at this point is unconfirmed, but I think it's heavily speculated and implied that she has dementia.
And how did she respond when you approached her? What'd she say?
I don't remember exactly what she said, but it was I think she was partially confused at one point, but then she came around, obviously, with more approaching than I was doing with her along the way.
I'm gonna say allegedly for legal reasons, not that I'm scared of Chris trying to sue me, but I mean, she has dementia. And so just to recap what I just said, Chris's new girlfriend is his 79-year-old dementia-ridden mother, who he's having sex with, sexually. If you had a month left to live, do you know what you would do? This leaked phone call does exist on YouTube. Look it up if you so please. I wouldn't recommend it, A, just because it's Chris, so it's hard to get through Chris speaking for long periods of time. But I mean, what she describes in this phone call is pretty sickening. Openly admitting to his mother being confused during sex, like not really knowing what's going on. It's, oh my lord.
That's good to hear. Do you guys act more like brother and daughter, or do you guys act more like, lovers? When, like, say you come home from, the supermarket and you see Barbara, would you say, "Hey, sweetheart," or do you say, "Hi, Mom"?
Yeah, I haven't called her quite some time now.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I'm more of a calling her
love at this point.
On July 30th, 2021, Chris is forcibly removed from her house. The cops get involved. There's a wellness check placed on Barb, Chris's mom. An emergency protection order is placed as well, which Chris violates literally later the same day by going into Barb's bank account and taking out $750 for herself. If you had a month left to live, do you know what you would do? August 1st, Chris is arrested by police in her temporary home of the Regency Inn in Richmond. Live streamers such as Ethan Ralph capture this arrest.
Yeah, they're arresting Chrischan here at the hotel. Chrischan, what's up?
Chrischan signed you, your goddess blue heart, and I continue to stand strong, and I maintain everything with quick fill in my side shoes and road shoes and everybody.
And even during this arrest, Chris is in full confidence that the dimensional merge is still going to happen. If you had a month left to live, do you know what you would do? On August 2nd, Chris is charged with, I'm not sure if I could actually say it on YouTube, but making sex with family member. If you had a month left to live, do you know what you would do? And is transferred from Henrico County Jail to Central Virginia Regional Jail. Police warned that Chris may face additional charges from the allegations. Patreon suspends Chris in response to all of this as well. On August 5th, Chris makes her first appearance in Greene County Court. She interrupts her attorney and the judge multiple times, stomping her feet and demanding that she be allowed to collect her personal belongings from wherever they're stored in a police station, I guess, or whatever. I don't know. I've never been to prison. Chris gets denied bond until the next court date set in September 2021. And this whole time, Chris is sending wild letters from prison to people, including Null, the friend or whatever that Chris confided in with all this stuff that got her arrested in the first place. Let me just read a quick line from one of these letters. So this is directly from Chris. Firstly, and vitally, it should be made obvious and clear that aside from Andy Warhol, my life events at present and so far can directly be compared and matched with that which have been chronicled of none other than Jesus Christ of Nazareth himself in any holy Bible. Like literally comparing herself to Jesus. If you had a month left to live, do you know what you would do? Would you, I don't know, lock yourself in your apartment, sever all ties with your friends and family, and paint your body completely, even your legs, and then film dumb videos that nobody is going to watch on the internet? Would you go out into the world and explore every last inch that you could? Or would you grab the ones you love and spend whatever little time you have left in the presence of people you respect and admire? Or maybe you have a list of goals and accomplishments you absolutely need to complete to leave your mark on this planet. Some way of proving to the world and yourself that you exist, or at least you currently exist. Death isn't the only way to die, and most of us don't get the luxury of knowing how much time we have left. Or maybe it's a curse. If you were to die today, could you say it was worth it? Could you say that you experienced true happiness? Were you ever truly happy? Is happiness something people can even feel? Maybe it's just some surrealist version of living sold to us by some 19-year-old with purple hair and Asperger's working in a marketing department with social and political opinions that need to be heard, disregarding the fact that they're employed by a mega corporation that's spoon-feeding them ideologies which is guiding their ability to monetize our emotions, disregarding the fact they haven't experienced enough time on this earth to truly understand the perceptions that they build, our finite time being framed by the infinite expanse of existence itself. So again, I ask, if you had a month left to live, do you know what you would do? I don't. But I definitely know Chris wasted hers. And unfortunately, that's just kind of the end of the story. There's nothing else to really say for now. Chris is still in jail. Barb got into a car accident in November 2021, but court dates have been postponed. I mean, as I'm recording this, it's June 2022, and nothing's really happened. Chris has been bounced around to a few different jails. Her latest mugshot, she looks very disheveled and like really shaken up by the whole experience in jail. Like, I wish there was some kind of poignant note I could put at the end of this, that there was some purpose or meaning behind even looking at this individual. My thesis was at the beginning of this that you're going to feel bad for her, and then you're going to flip-flop, and then you're going to think she's the villain. I mean, clearly by her actions, by the end of it, it's hard to say that she's not the villain in this situation. not only did she take advantage of an elderly person who clearly just kind of isn't all there, it was also a family member. Like one of the only people that was truly in her corner. Or maybe not. I mean, actually, her parents were pretty crappy. If I've learned anything in the past couple years, it's to just pursue what you perceive to be meaningful and purposeful, because there's really not much else. Listen, I'm saying all this to say that I didn't think of an ending. Okay, bye.